Subject matter today is why I will win. As you know, the voting has started today. And I can confidently say if every person who has eaten a meal at this church, every child, every man, every woman, and if every person that has slept under this roof combined with those who have eaten at this church over the years, if every one of those persons and students that have been educated at this building or in this building and their parents, were just that collection of group of people, and I'll talk more about that, just that collection of people were to go to the polls today and on the 4th of November and vote for me, I would win hands down. We have fed enough people worthy to return the favor of this church over the past 40 years. I would be the next mayor of the city of New York. Whether they will do that or not, we're praying that they will. They are not here, obviously, and many have gone for many years that they have gone. I want to state the reason why I got into this race in the first place, because a lot of people might think it's egotistical or some other godless reason that I entered into this foray. And the reason being, number one, it's not that Jesus called me into it, and I'll explain that. But the reason being that I got into this race was because of the foreclosure action against this church. Starting in 2004, where we won our victory in court before the judge that gave us our victory, and then that victory was affirmed in the appellate division. And then it lingered, and the city of New York took us, they didn't stop, but they took us further to the Court of Appeals in the state of New York, where the decision was turned around not on the merits, but on a procedural issue. And in 2009, the issue began again. So I want to tell you that the reason why I entered into this race is because from 2009 to present, which has been 16 years, I have been through hell and back. And it was after so much pain and suffering of foreclosure. If you've never been through that or anything like that, you probably can't imagine what I've gone through over the past 15 years in the courts, with judges, crooked lawyers, the like. But because of the hell that they have put me through, the sleepless nights, the trying to turn me into an alcoholic to save this property. And you probably may not understand, and I'm not asking you, nor do I require you to do so. But when I think about, I thought about over the past 15, 16 years, were they to be successful in the foreclosure and put us in the street, Bennett, who has nothing but this church, she has no great salary, she has no great retirement program, she owns no property anyplace else. She, her mother, and her sister and Carter will be put in the street with nowhere to go. And the rents are extremely expensive here in New York. You just can't find a place these days. But in addition to my own personal concerns, I had to think about what would happen to her. It's just me. And when I thought about the fact that the school, when this is a not-for-profit organization, it has a 501c3, we're federally tax exempt, we're state tax exempt, we're city tax exempt, and yet we've educated children operating a school, and yet they would not relent. Nobody would hear me. Nobody would say, let the church be. You're talking about water and sewer charges, not even a tax, and you will not relent. You're continuing the Mellon Bank to force this church into foreclosure, forfeit of its property, put the children in the school in the street. How do I explain to the children of the school? How do I explain to them that they no longer have a meeting place? How do I explain to them that the city of New York has taken a tax-exempt organization and put the children in the street without giving a damn? How do I explain that? How does that make anybody angry that they would be so persistent? We took out 2 ads in the New York Times, $50,000 each. And we proclaimed that our church is sitting on death row. Come help us. And nobody came. Nobody. Not one politician picked up the phone. Not one person asked, what did the matter? After we put those ads in the papers. And so, if you want to know, and then of course there's my own personal well-being. I live in the building. Where am I going to go? I don't have any money. I've never made any money from being a pastor of this church. I've fed the hungry. I've clothed the naked. And so where am I going to go? And for 15 years, they would not relent. The city of New York, the Mellon Bank, the politicians. You want to know why I'm in this race? I'm not here because I want to be a politician. I'm not here because I want to be egotistical, taking bribes on the side. The hell that they have put me through. I saw a remedy. And the remedy I saw was to take the helm of the city of New York myself and take over the New York City Law Department. That was my remedy, and it remains my remedy and continue to be my remedy. But that's not all. A good friend of mine named Edward Earl Johnson, pastor of the Mount Moriah Baptist Church at 2050 Fifth Avenue, New York City, just up the street here, across around the bend and up the street to Fifth Avenue. They foreclosed his church. And his members were unlike many of you and like many others who left this ministry, they didn't stand with him. And when they foreclosed his church, shortly thereafter he died of a heart attack. I mean, how do you explain that? How do you explain it to anybody? This man lost his church. He lost his life. It wasn't just the building. It was the essence of the Holy Spirit. Why would anybody do that? Why would the city of New York? Why would a bank do that to a church? Why? They don't give a damn, that's why. And not just am I doing this because of the rank injustice, but the reason why they didn't come to help me is because they wanted to punish me for my beliefs. We're going to teach you a lesson, Manning. We're going to teach you a lesson. You're not going to stand against our sexual beliefs. You're not going to call black people incompetent. You're not going to talk about them in ways that identify their weaknesses. You are going to kiss our ring, the NAACP, the Urban League, and all the other black organizations. Manning, we're going to teach you a lesson, boy. We'll take that church building from you. It's what they did. It's what they thought. And so if you want to know why I'm doing this, that's one of the reasons, and the main reason why I'm doing it. But I think that beyond that, and I'll come back to this in a different way, just imagine of all the people who slept right here. This floor was covered like the slave ships in the triangular slave trade years ago, with men sleeping on the floor because there was no place downstairs for them to sleep, no place else for them to sleep. The place where I watch news and the kitchen that Elizabeth and I eat from used to be a homeless shelter. And one night, Elizabeth and I were sleeping up here in the media center on two rollaway beds, where you pull the beds together and fold them up in the morning. So I walked in the hallway and I smelled crack. I went up to the place where we now live, and one of the men in there had been smoking crack that night. It was raining. I grabbed him by the nape and pulled him out the room, took him to the side door here, and kicked him out the building. But imagine if all the persons that have come through this property would say on the 4th of November, I'm going to vote for Manning. About all these other candidates might be hanging up right now because they would be so powerful. I could have dropped out of this race over the last couple of months. I could have. Considering the fact that they're doing everything possible to disarm our campaign, disavow, ignore everything they can possibly do to disrupt the possibility of our winning. I could have dropped out. And by that I mean we won the foreclosure battle. back the 18th of June of this year in 67th Street in courtroom 212. The battle was over with. The court foreclosure sale was proffered. No one stepped forward. The Mellon Bank were excluded from any further reaches. The Philip Little Liar law firm no longer had a case or a client. The matter reverted back to the city of New York. The deed for this property remains in the hands of the members of the Bethelite Community Baptist Church. We're the only one that owns it. Is there some of the issues that we have to work out with the city of New York? And I'm working on that as we speak. Yes, but we won the battle.
Praise God.
After 16 years of fierce fighting, in and out of courtrooms, mornings when I just didn't feel like dealing with the traffic or the courts, being searched, or taking off my shoes, or going through the detectors, going to the courtroom, locking the judge who just took a drink from a bourbon bottle before he came out. At 10 o'clock in the morning, he's drunk. Or sitting before judges who call me shenanigan man. Or others who have vowed that they are perhaps the most prolific, if you will, LGBTQ members on the planet, that they belong to these organizations, and they're so proud that they belong to these organizations, and yet I had to sit before them. Recently, I've been called by Judge Francis Kahn, well, not by him, rather, pardon me, please. One of the lawyers, or the lawyer for the Philip Little Liar law firm, filed a motion in court this year to label me a vexatious litigant. That's a fancy word for saying I'm always filing charges, and I have been. I filed hundreds of them. Well, maybe not hundreds, but I filed a whole slew of them. I filed in protection of this church. How can you call me a vexatious litigant? I'm trying to save our church. That I'm filing too many motions that you have to respond to. They had no defense for what I was filing, so they tried to get the judge to say that I'm a which is a legal term, I guess, somehow or another, to stop me from filing motions. The judge didn't grant it, but it was me personally that they were after. I could have dropped out of this race and saved us the, if you will, the work that we have to do over the next week, which is going to be very intense. Or perhaps the doubts that we have to, when you look in the face of your family members, they say, there ain't no way in hell he's going to win. Is that what they've said to you? They're your co-workers and others. I was offered $1 million the other day to walk away from this process and to never file another case against the city of New York or the Mellon Bank. I refused it, obviously. But the pain and suffering, and I don't want to take the time to badger you, if that's a word, of what I've gone through. And I don't want to trump up and punk out. But I've gone through hell, fighting every day, not knowing whether this building or whether all the preaching I've done is for naught because the city took the building. The bank won. I have to face that. I'd have to live with that for the rest of my life, and probably very short days. I don't want to tell you how bad that was. How I had to go through it. Who understands? Somebody wrote a song some years ago. Nobody knows the troubles I see. Nobody knows but Jesus. Nobody knows what I went through over the past 16 years. Still trying to preach. What's been taken from me? What they took from me? What they took from my life? If winning the office of mayor or even into the race is a method of fighting, I'm going to fight what they've done to me. How they've scarred me, how they've hurt me, how they've robbed me. No, you're not going to get away with this. No, you may have thought that you had came upon someone who was weak, but not me. And so I did, and I don't mean to be indifferent or in any way trying to scar anybody or to exalt anybody or belittle anyone, but I have to preach. A lot of people may not have thought, because they don't understand, and I understand, I was once young too, that the slogan, make the crooked places straight and make the crooks pay, may not have thought that meant anything in this modern ideology of AI. And other things, if you will, separate from biblical ideology, biblical teaching, may not have thought that meant very much. But damn it, I won nearly $2 million lawsuit the other day, and I made the damn crooks pay. I made them pay. Now you tell me that slogan don't work. You tell me making the crooks pay don't work. You tell me making the crooked places straight is not what the people want to hear. I won, and they paid. Yes. By the way, I'm not angry with anybody. You just don't understand the world. That's all. You understand what my next move, I ain't through with them, Well, no. I still have that $500 million lawsuit swinging in the wind. I'm not through with them. No, I'm not going to let them get away with that. No, we're going back to court. I'm not going to be stayed or stymied by any law, statute, or anything else that they want to raise. I'm going to court, and I'm going to win again, and I'm going to make the crooks pay again. I'm going to make them pay what the hell they've done to me. I will not stop, and I will not be discouraged. They can't give me back that 16 years of my life. They can't give me back the time that I missed with spending teaching with the students or all the others that have doubted me. And they can't resurrect my friend, my very dear friend, Pastor Edward O. Johnson. I've looked at this and I said, if everyone who's been helped by this church cast their vote on the 4th of November, it'd be hands down, runaway, landslide victory, because that's how many people I've helped. 2 million meals, going on 3 million meals been served. Now, that activity doesn't happen as often now as it did in years gone by. But people didn't come to help me when they heard of my peril. In fact, many of them left. They didn't come to help me. The people that I helped who never had an idea about buying a home, they just thought you live in an apartment, you pay rent, that's it. They've been raised up that way. They never thought of home ownership, equity, building that kind of a lifestyle. They never thought about that. I began to teach. I said, oh, it's a brilliant idea. Why don't I buy a home? Why am I paying rent? Why am I collecting rent receipts when I ought to be collecting equity in a mortgage? Damn, that's an idea. Never thought about that before, and did it. All the times I stood in courtrooms with men that had been charged with some crime who was on the lam. And I told them, listen, brothers, we had hundreds of men in the building. I said, you got to go and get this thing straightened out. Get your family, get your children. So I went back to court, stood in the judge. And I remember on one particular incident, I stood in the courtroom, federal court, on this fellow who was a physician's assistant, and he had stolen, he was dealing drugs out of the drugstore. And I didn't talk to the judge, and the judge came very stern with his black robe on the bench, sitting there looking at me. So when I began to tell the judge of what we were doing and how this man had progressed and how he had finally married his wife and they had 3 children by, they had never gotten married, now they're married, and a little bit about my experience of the chain gang, I told the judge. When I told the judge I'd been on the chain gang, the judges sit like this, When I told him about my experience, he relaxed a little bit. The more I talk, the more I relax, and I'm thinking while I'm talking, you're going to get an easy sentence today. This judge is buying everything I'm selling here today. And he did. He was in and out of prison in a heartbeat. But think of all the people that have been married at this altar. There was a time we were having 2 and 3 marriages a day at this altar. I was telling men, you need to go home and be with your children. Wives need a husband. Children need a father. And they were coming by the hundreds to get married in this church. Y'all remember? Those who went back to school. Many came here with no degrees at all. And then went back to school. What am I thinking about? They had flunked out of high school or barely gotten out of high school. Never thought about going to college until they heard me talking about education. So they went back and got their bachelor's degree. And even Mother One went back and got her degree. I heard Bowman say she went back and got her degree. Farr sitting up here went back and got his bachelor's, got his master's, and he was talking about getting some other kind of degree. Many went and got degrees, graduate degrees in this church, who probably would have never thought, had this pulpit had not been influenced, about the idea of education. Imagine how much education the people, and many of those we have trained, or they have been more lawyers, who they're not here now, that sat in this pew as college students or as high school, went to law school, got an attitude about Obama or blackness or something else. You can't find them now. But were it not for this church, they never would have made it to law school. And now you think they will come and help? I do say this, that Jonathan Pollard was born in this church. His mother gave birth in the pew in this building. And he ran around running up under the pews like little boys will do. And someone recognized from one of the highfalutin schools up in Massachusetts, all white, you know these places, that he was brilliant, that he had a powerful mind. They took him out of the school he was in. It was before our school got started. And, or our high school got started, I should say. And enrolled him in this fancy school up in Massachusetts. And he lived here in Otla. They sent a limousine, a stretch limo, to drive him to that school. He was so happy and proud of himself in a stretch limo riding up the thruway to the school. That's how they brought him to the school door for the entrance program. He graduated from that school, went on to Duke University, got a law degree. But his family left the church for whatever reason. Y'all people are, you've seen them exit these doors like it's something wild going on in here, but they left the church. And so when he finally got his law degree, he was no longer a member of this congregation, as his mother left and family left. But when they were here in the early years of their lives, they lost their apartment, the mother, and she didn't have her husband was in prison. And she told me, and as a pastor, I had been given the lease, or not the lease, but the opportunity to manage one other member's apartment that had died earlier. And so rather than seeing them go to the street, I put them in that apartment to live for a while. So this summer we were out on the street. He came up to me, I was in the van. He came and said, Pastor Matt, I said, yes. He says, I want to help you. He said, I want to help you because when we were being put out of our place, you gave us help. And I can't forget that. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I was glad to hear that. I was glad to hear it. He's still with us now. In fact, I've got him working on some issues as I speak. But I'm going to make the crooks pay. May not sound good to y'all, but it's music to my ears when they write them checks. No doubt about it. You know, I also, y'all stand up for this one because I don't usually clear my sermons before preaching. I just preach. But when Michael Carter came to this church from Love Gospel Assembly, it looks terrible now, the building does, up on the Grand Concourse, came and sat when we were doing national radio ministry. He came and sat once, joined the church the same day, went back and got his wife and dragged her here, and his daughter as well. And stayed in the church for quite some time, Michael Carter. And his daughter started school here. And someone had given, this is absolute truth. Someone had given me a 5-room apartment. When I first became the pastor of the Bethelite Church at 1626 Amsterdam Avenue, a woman walked up to me one day. I was out in front of the church. She said, "You're the new pastor of this church?" I was just a boy. I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, my husband and I are moving back to Georgia. We've retired, and we have a 5-room apartment right around the corner on 140th Street. We want to give that to you." I didn't even know these people. She said, "We want to give it to you." Well, I, at the time, was homeless. When I became the pastor of this church, I didn't have my own key. I didn't have my own address. I didn't have my own Con Ed bill. When I became the pastor, I was homeless when I became the pastor of this church. She said, we want to give that to you. I said, I'll take it. And I lived there for a while. And then I met the wonderful Elizabeth. She had a house up in Connecticut. And so I was hanging out up there, up in Connecticut. And Michael Carter and his wife, Eunice, and that's what she calls herself now, and the daughter Deborah moved into my 5-room. I gave it to them. I talked to Deborah about this yesterday. She said she was 7, 8 years old. Says the best time of her life, even better than the time living with Smith. Now don't tell them I said that because don't tell them. Y'all can you keep your mouth shut? She said, Pastor, that was the best time of my life when we lived in that apartment. And I gave it to them to live. 5 beautiful rooms with a bathtub big enough, almost like an Olympic swimming pool. That's how big that bathtub was. I think what I'm trying to say is that, and when I was standing in front of 1626 Amsterdam Avenue, a week or so later, the city of New York came and posted a notice on the door says, eviction. Any squatters that are in this building, get out because it's been slated for urban renewal, urban development. So all squatters need to give out by the 1st of December, something like that they said. And so I took the note off the door. So we were calling a squatter because it was our church. Now it was a burned out storefront of an old apartment building that had been burned out, and they had a storefront that had been burned out. It was a storefront job, right? So somebody sold the building to some developer getting ready to make housing, and nobody told me about it. Nobody told Pastor Sally, so I didn't know anything about it. So who y'all think y'all talking to? Talking about we got to get out the building. I just became the pastor a month ago, and now you're going to evict us? You've already foreclosed us? I'm just a boy at the time. I said, I ain't going nowhere. Anyway, so I called up HPD, Housing Preservation Development Corporation. I said, what is this business about y'all throwing us out our church building? He said, is that you in that building? I said, yeah, it's me. He said, well, you got to go. I said, no, I ain't going nowhere. He said, well, we'll padlock the door. Well, you padlock all you want. I ain't going. So they said, come down and talk to us. So I got a couple of elders together. We went down to HPD, sitting up in that office with the great big old oak desk and the great big windows and everything there in those city buildings. Sitting there, and this little guy came out, kept telling me that we didn't own the property, we never did, and that we had no right to be there, and they owned the property, and the laws were this and that. They began to tell me about city statutes, and I'm sitting there looking at him. I said, I ain't going nowhere. He said, yes, you are going. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? That's what I said to him. Now, I had my deacons with me, but they had never heard me use the word hell before. They'd never seen me talk like that before. But I said, I ain't going nowhere. So somebody came in, took him out, brought in another guy. Another guy came in and said, well, Reverend Manning, what if we offer you some money to go? I said, well, he said, we are prepared, Reverend, he said to me, to get you out of the building. We're prepared to offer you $30,000. Now you have to know we were taking up offerings like $3 a week. And Reverend, he said, what we will do is that we will give you time to relocate, and we will allow you to choose from any of the buildings in the region of the area where you are now that are owned by the city that are vacant and are not being used. We'll let you use that building. So I'm sitting there now, and I got $30,000 on the table for a building I don't own, and I got an opportunity to get another building from the city that they own. I said, this sounds like a pretty good deal. So I huddled with the deacons. I didn't have to huddle with them, but I huddled with them. I said, we'll take it. Y'all can take your seat. Why is that important? It's important because, this most recent 15-year foreclosure is not the first time I faced down the city. It's not the first time I faced down foreclosure. It's not the first time I faced down eviction. And it may not be the last time. Don't call me some sort of amateur. Don't think that I don't know what I'm doing in this process. And it will behoove you to let me instruct you on how to help me. That would be smart. I've been doing this for the last 40 years. The city knows me, and they know exactly what my capabilities are. By the way, and so we bought the firehouse, right? And from the city gave it to us interest-free and sold it to us dirt cheap. So I sold a building I didn't own, purchased another building that was worth a whole lot more. Ultimately, the firehouse was transferred to us for $50,000. 10 years later, I sold it for $700,000 in terms of $650,000 profit. The person that wanted to buy the building much earlier, I'm trying to explain to you why I'm running for mayor. I'm trying to help you understand. I'm trying to help you understand me in case you don't know who I am. I'm trying to grow you. I'm trying to show you why we gonna win and why we ain't gonna never lose. I'm trying to show you. No matter what people think, no matter how many people you see sitting in this building today, it doesn't matter. That's not what's counting. It's not the fight, the size of the dog that's in the fight. It's the fight that's in the dog that's fighting the size of the fight that's in the dog. That's what's happening here. Don't look at me because you think somehow or another can be dismissed. Dismiss me. So we bought the firehouse and we sold it. Again, if the people that we've helped, the homeless men. Years ago, when we have transitioned, yes, and the community has transitioned from the 80s to the 90s, which all of this was going on. We had at least 100 men sleeping in the building. At least 100, maybe 150 at times. And the first Christmas that Elizabeth and I were married, and the men were in the building, and we were sleeping on the upstairs in the rollaway beds, Elizabeth and I went down to a discount store called Conway's. It's a very cheap store. It's like a dollar store. This is the absolute truth as I stand in this pulpit. These men, Christmas was coming. And these men were homeless. So Elizabeth and I took together a little money we collected the offering here at the church, went down to Conway's and bought 100 to 150 socks, gloves, I think, and even some underwear. And the first Christmas, we gave all the men a present. You don't have to be without it. It wasn't much. But we took that money out of our own pockets and we gave them a Christmas present. That felt pretty good. Benny, you remember that? So now the next Christmas, we thought we'd do a little bit better. We always want to grow. The next Christmas, we were on the air doing national broadcasting. We were doing especially out of WMCA out here in Rutherford, New Jersey. And I told everybody, I said, I got 200 homeless men here in the church. I want to give them a Christmas gift. I want everybody to bring me a gift. Everybody listen to me, everybody in the church, bring me a gift so I can give it to the homeless people, right? And lo and behold, one woman pulled up in a long stretch limousine, parked it out in front of the thing so long, it went from one end of the block to the other. And she just had gifts after gifts. She owned some sort of business. Gifts after gifts, wrapped in boxes, gave them to them. We stacked this altar right here. I don't know how, y'all remember this? We stacked this altar this high all the way out here with nothing but gifts for homeless people. Talk to me that I ain't for the black man, that I ain't for the community, and I'm not this, and I don't, we stacked, nothing but get red boxes, green, everybody gift for, we don't know what was in it. So that Christmas morning, everybody jammed in the church. This place was so packed, so you couldn't get light inside the building. It was so much. That's how jammed it was. We started giving out the gifts. We were giving out so many, they had 10,000 gifts. We started giving out so many, I started throwing them at the people because it would never stop. I'm trying to help you understand why I do what I do. Maybe you don't know me. Maybe you don't know what this church has done. Maybe you don't know the pain. Maybe you don't know the love that I have for this community. What the hell's wrong with y'all? The hell's wrong with you? people pimp you, rip you off, and you say, I don't love you, I don't love her. He ain't for the black man. He ain't for us. He ain't for our first black president, Obama. Hell, I've done more than 1 week for black people than Obama did in 8 years. And everybody who got any sense knows it. Anyway, I they got this guy Mandami, right? Everybody says he's leading in the polls, whatever that means. He knows he's a socialist. At least he's got Alexander Ocasio-Cortez behind him. She's pushing everybody as a socialist. You know, some of y'all who haven't been around for a while. Back in the 1960s, back in 1968, a group of young people, including myself, we wanted America's democracy to be reframed, rewritten, to give more attention to young people and what they are about. I was in my late 20s at the time. They had their early 20s, really, in 1968, and they had the Democratic Convention in Chicago. And I wasn't able to go to Chicago, but my friends, who we all wanted a more socialist government, we wanted America to reframe itself, to take away the restrictions against marijuana and other things. And Dr. Timothy Leary of the University of California at Berkeley, a profound professor, has stated that taking acid, LSD, was good for you to take a trip every now and then, mind-expanding drug. Here's this well-known professor telling us to take acids, and it ought to be legal. And so we were very socialist then. We were the hippies, we believed in having free sex, free love. You go out Central Park, and one man's having sex with you, you have sex with it as well. I remember the first time we saw a pornographic movie, because we were socialists. We wanted America, we wanted the democracy to favor us and our young people idea. They even grew up a commune out in California where everybody who lived in a commune out in San Francisco, Hayden, Ashbury Street, people had the VW Volkswagen, and we lived in a commune, lived in a house, nobody worked, everybody just mushed off of each other. We were socialists. We were socialists. I include myself in that process. I was very much, I thought that was right. I thought the old people didn't know what the hell they were doing. I thought they needed to get out the way. I thought old people were a problem. I thought their ideas were a problem. We need change. We need new ideas, I thought. I remember the hippies, right? They were a funny group. Long hair and a whole bunch of other things that they did. But the socialist movement found its way onto the college campuses, like you've seen with Columbia University and Palestinian, the Jews. And so, because the movement was across all college campuses for the most part, young people were demanding a change in the curriculum, a change in what's being taught at these schools. And at Kent State, a little known school out in Ohio, and a protest arose. And the young people stormed the place, and they had sent the National Guard there to keep the order, and the National Guard had live ammunition, and they began to shoot into the crowd. Many of the students were injured, 4 of them died in the Kent State shooting. Look it up. I was ticked. And they want to stop our socialist movement. They want to stop our reform of the government. The old people just need to get out the way. They just need to get out the way. We young people know what's best for the world, we thought. The first time I ever participated in a march on Washington was the Kent State shooting. I got on a bus on Madison Avenue and got on that bus and drove down to Washington, D.C. to be a part of the first time I ever participated in a march against Washington was the Kent State shooting. I thought it was tragic that that happened to them, and I wanted to lend my voice to them. I was a socialist in that regard. Down in Washington, Kent State shooting, I was. And so the funny thing is, a large number of people say these hippies who didn't want to build with their daddy's business, their daddy running the stock market, banks, didn't want to have anything to do with their daddies living outside the home. But by the time they got 40, 45 years old, they took off those hippie outfits, put on a suit and tie, and went to work for daddy and began to get all that money. But the other thing was that, I thought was interesting is that the socialist movement back in the 60s and 70s was so, if you will, intense, like nothing like it is today, that women in the socialist movement said, we're going to stop wearing bras. Yeah. There was a woman named Gloria Steinem. She had a friend named Betty Friedan. They started a movement, burn your bras. So all the women took off their bras, brought them to a place, and they set a match to the bra. Bennett was in the crowd. She was burning the bra. I'm simply trying to say to y'all, you think you know, so you know a damn thing about nothing, talking about Zoran Mondani and talking about socialist movement. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's not even fleeting what you're talking about. It's pointless. It is stupid. It's going nowhere talking about socialism. And you've never been anywhere. In fact, don't roll up on me because I've been there. Listen, I've forgotten more about life than you will ever remember were you to live 100 years. You can't touch what I know or what I've done. Mondani, lost your mind. Free bus rides. That's what we were saying. We said that before. Free train rides, we said. Free everything. There was a great song during that time by Gil Scott-Heron who said the revolution will not be. I saw this movie some time ago. I'm telling you why I'm running for mayor. Is that right? Y'all remember? Y'all remember the movement, defund the police? We had something a whole lot better. We used to call the police pigs. So we'd be walking down the street, right? Police on the corner, we say, I smell bacon. I know you don't know nothing about nothing. Gil Scott-Heron song, the revolution will not be recognized. Televised, yeah, I'm sorry. Y'all, I got some old people in here. Gotta watch out for y'all. They call Dr. King a communist too, you know that, right? Because a large part of his idea, Dr. Joseph Harrison Jackson, the president of the National Baptist Convention, 30,000 churches, and I don't know, some 30,000 members, 33 million members, never joined Dr. King. Dr. King's father, who was the pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church, never joined a march with his son because he thought what he was doing was socialist, was fueled by communists. So he never once, his mother and father, all the marches he had, you've never seen them in a march because he disapproved of what his son was doing. Pastor Stanley, who gave me this church, disapproved of what Dr. King was doing. Now, obviously, a lot of the socialist white people took Dr. King under their wings, the New York Times and others, and began to promote him and make him this great big star. But black people didn't go along with him during those years. Now, y'all don't know that because some of y'all do, but they didn't. He was not supported by black folk because of his partial communist and socialist ideas. I think that it was Vladimir Lenin who founded upon the deaths of 20 million Russians. And you talk about Mondani, your dumb selves. Vladimir Lenin killed 20 million Russians to stamp out Christianity in Russia, to stamp out Peter the Great's great accomplishments, the great churches, and the family that had been so powerful and prominent. 20 million Russians were killed by Vladimir Lenin, who stated in his manifesto that communism would encircle the earth, that every nation would one day be communist. And some people in Russia still believe that. Vladimir Putin still believes it, that every nation on the planet will one day submit themselves to communism or socialism. And y'all are talking about making a socialist mayor of the city of New York. It is absolutely incredible. And you have to realize why I don't scream when I hear this madness coming from people on television, news anchors, a bunch of others, pollsters and young people He's our way to a better journey. I want to, y'all stand for this. I'm through with y'all. We got a lot of work to do today. Experience is the best teacher. I don't care whether you go to Harvard, you have to understand something. Now, tell all your students and all you other professionals in here, doesn't matter whether you went to Harvard or Yale or any place else. Experience is the best teacher. Going through something, even if you go to medical school and you get your MD, they won't turn you loose on patients. Just with that degree, you got to go sit with somebody who's got some experience. They call it internship, because you still don't know nothing just because you got a degree. You need to sit with somebody who has the experience, and you can learn from them. Generally, it takes a couple of years to get you started, and still you're not ready to do medicine, to take the people's lives in their hand. When I don't mean to be indifferent, and y'all just let me preach. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, go after anybody. But listen, if you're going to deal with me, you think I'm going to put my life in your hands? I'm going to put my career in your hands? I'm going to put your decisions through my channel and through my life? What you know? Hell, you don't know nothing. And I'm not going to trust you with my life. I'm not going to trust this school. Now, I do trust Elder LaFleur because he's proven himself. But I'm not going to trust this church to someone who just got out of diapers. I'm not trying to be different or hard-hearted or mean-spirited. You wouldn't do it either. Now, you can work with people, but they got to listen to you, not you listen to them. And no matter what you say, whether they agree with it or understand it or not, it's not the point. I'm not going to put my life in your hand. I do declare before God, I've been through too much hell to trust my life to somebody who doesn't know how to pee straight. No, Experience is the best teacher, not the professors, not the colleges, not the university. It's good to go there. I recommend that you do it. But what I better recommend you, sit at the feet of somebody who knows something. I will respect you when you recognize that you don't know. And you're willing to humble yourself to learn. And that's how we're going to run City Hall. That's how we're going to run this ministry. That's how we're going to help the people. Otherwise, we're fighting or we're spitting in the wind. The Mandami voters, they have no idea. Think about this. I have fought City Hall twice and won. A lot of people don't know that. And even now, my winning, people may not realize it. And I'm not saying this now because I want to be boastful, but I think it needs to be known. I won against the Mellon Bank after all that time protesting in front of the bank and kneeling before Smith & Walensky's restaurant, praying. I won! Amen. Damn it! I was able to defeat the system, the statutes, and the laws. I was able to defeat the money. I won. We won. I fought City Hall. They say you can't fight City Hall? That's what they say. I fought it. And I won. So I want it to be known that if you make me the mayor of the city of New York, what I have done for this church, I can do for everybody else who's been suffering, everybody else that's struggling. I can do it. I'm a winner. I'm a fighter. I don't give up. I don't get kicked. I don't back up. I don't chop up. I don't puck out. I won. I said to you an hour ago, when I was offered that $2 million, I could have just walked away from y'all. But I'm not going to leave y'all in the lurch. I'm going to hang around with the last breath in my body until I help everybody who needs help. Even though I've helped people, they have not come back to help me. I have to tell you, my help comes from Jesus. You don't have to help me. You don't ever have to turn around and say, thank you, Pastor Manning, for what you've done for our lives when we were homeless, put our marriage together, help our children, send them off to college. You don't have to ever thank me for that. But I'm going to turn my back on you. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to leave you in the lurches of the Mellon Bank. I'm not going to leave you in the lurches of crooked lawyers. I'm not going to leave you in the lurches of the city of New York. I'm not going to desert you. I'm not going to do it. Whether you appreciate me or not, whether you understand me or not, I'm not going. That's not what I made of. That ain't the man I made of that my daddy, Willie Patterson, raised. That ain't the man he raised. I'm not going to leave y'all. Can't offer me no more. What the hell's wrong with y'all? Think you can buy me? Listen, you got to need a whole lot more than $2 million to buy me. No, I'm staying. If it's stovetop, I'm staying. I'm not leaving. So thank y'all so very much. I wanted to be able to express that. Thank y'all for listening. Now let's go to work. Amen. We got 10 days for more work to do. By the way, let me thank y'all. From going back to January, February, out there in the cold in Staten Island and wearing them big dog beds and coats and out there handing out and getting signatures. Thank y'all. I could never thank y'all enough for doing that. I see it in my mind. I see Ella Ramos out there with a dog bed on a big coat. It's cold out there in Staten Island back in January. And yet y'all out there getting signatures. I could never thank you. There's no amount of money. You probably would take some money if I gave it to you. But there's no amount of money. How y'all stood with me, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. How precious it was that y'all stood with me to become the mayor of the city of New York. I'll never forget that. Never. How y'all helped me, stood with me, believed in me, when every person on the planet says he can't do it. Yet you stood with me. Those long rides out there, those long rides back, and we're going out there again today. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Take your seats, please. Time for the tithes and the offering. McFadden, did you get my response? Oh, I get so many emails these days. You know, you're an extraordinary communicator, you know, that you make me jealous. I think that's...
I get so many emails too, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to keep up with everything, so... But thank you for what you said. I got to tell Elder before. I haven't told him about it yet. But thank you so very much. I really appreciate what you said, what you did. Praise God. You'll always be my friend. I don't care what you do. You call me, you'll always be my friend.
You'll always be my friend too.
All right. Praise God. All right, everybody. Time for the tithe and the offering. Amen. Elder Butler, we love you, Elder. Amen. Pray for Pastor Manning. Pray for me. You know me. I don't have to explain nothing to you. You know me. Pray for me, Elder. And Mother One, pray for me. You know me too. I need people to pray for me. Y'all go home with me Staten Island today? Praise God. All right. And by the way, thank y'all for your giving and support and supply of the ministry. It's just incredible what we were able to do. Once we get this mayor thing behind us, we got to go to work on rebuilding our school, structuring a whole lot of different things, getting things back in structure. They robbed me of my time. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Those of you online, thank you for your giving, your love, and your support. Thank you so very much. Thank you for that beautiful gift we got coming in from California this week for the Manning for mayor. Elder Ramos called me the other day, jumping up and down and said, I saw you on television. Yeah, praise the Lord. We're going to flood the zone this week. Every television station, including ABC and the others. And we'll let the Lord have his way. Praise God. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Where's Jeremiah? Now, I'm going to send you up to get the coat, but this time it's in my study. That way you won't be able to mess up, right? And I'm going to take a bit of a rest, and then we're going to get ready to go to Staten Island. Is that right? Praise the Lord. Joseph McFadden, can I just shake your hand before you leave today? Can I? Are y'all ready to fight today? Yeah. Y'all know the time is tight now. It won't. You know what the monkey said when they cut his tail off? He said it won't be long now. God bless you.
God God bless you too. Good
Thank
luck
you.
today.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thank you so very much. Bless you. Yeah. I got to read that letter he wrote. He wrote an article about us. McFadden did. I got to read it. There's so much to be done. I can't hardly keep up with everything. I don't know. I got wet with sweat here today. The Broner baby didn't make any noise today. Where the Broner baby at? What? Is the baby sick? Took it downstairs? Trying to figure out what was going on. I didn't hear the Broner baby. The Broner baby can stay in the church. I don't want to throw the Broner baby out. Thank you, Brother Broner, for coming to be with us the other night. I really appreciate it. Praise the Lord.
You didn't say peace out. We still rolling.
All right, everybody. Did y'all give? I'm not going to give you a peace out unless you've given. You don't get no peace out. Anyway, peace out, everybody. All right, so welcome to the Trust in the Lord Hour and, of course, the Manning Report. And it's been the Trust in the Lord Hour that has brought me through some of the most tumultuous times. I would encourage you to just trust God. Just trust Him. You can go through some very difficult life experiences. You will and you can. You can and you will. But in the midst of all of that, just trust Him. Just trust Him. I can't promise you that all the things that you desire of the Lord, that you desire now, will be benefited to you in ways that will be profitable at some point in time. But I can tell you, trusting in the Lord will never fail you in terms of the sentiments of your heart and God's love for you. So just trust Him no matter what you're going through. And I've done that for the past 18 years. I did it in some very tumultuous times. And I've talked about it. You know about it. I don't want to rehash it again today, but I will be talking about it in times to come. It's very difficult to get me to trust anything but the Lord. It's very difficult. Don't even try it. I trust Him. I trust His word. Case closed. End of story. Don't bring me nobody, no professor, no college person, no politician. Don't bring me no movie star, athlete, baseball player, basketball. Don't bring me nothing or nobody. I trust in the Lord. A lot of people put their horse. David said a lot of people put their trust in horses and chariots. Not me, and not him. Okay, enough of that. So I don't know if you remember the song Mrs. Oh, Hell to Do, Mrs. Robinson, da-da-da-da-da, Simon and Garfunkel. Y'all, hey, Elder Honaker, do you remember this song? I'm sure Bob Jackson, remember this song? To Mrs. Robinson, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, going to the candidates debate. That's a part of Mrs. Robinson's song from years ago when I was just a teeny-weeny little boy. But yeah, so last night I went to the candidates debate, and I have to tell you, we got rammed by a big cement truck with little big things turning in the back of the carrying cement. This guy actually ran into our vehicle. And I want to apologize to our most prolific driver, Jeremiah Farr, who I told to cut the guy off. I actually told Jeremiah to cut the guy off, and the guy saw it, got angry, and actually rammed that big truck, cement-carrying truck with that great big bumper that long and that wide, rammed it into the side of our vehicle on our way to the candidates debate last night. We were able to get past that. It was a harrowing moment. I'll probably say it a little bit a little bit further into the broadcast, that I believe that the Lord would have us to get to the. We got there extremely late. A large part of my planning of the time we should leave here. But nonetheless, I think we were able to accomplish a large number of things. Going to the candidates debate. Simon and Garfunkel. If you haven't, pull up that song by Mrs. Robinson and enjoy. Listen to it from 50 years ago. To Mrs. Robinson. Da 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 da. Going to the candidates debate. So the candidates were debating last night at the LaGuardia Community College in Long Island City, New York. The Three Stooges, I called them, were on the stage. And during the time of that debate that was going on, I had an interview with Lars Larson of WABC, a nationally known broadcaster on the ABC radio. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you listen to this happened. I started the Open Rewards prayer meeting at 7 o'clock. So if you remember, by the way, we apologize for the fact that the sound was not streaming correctly. So many of you were probably clicking on and off trying to get the sound. Our most learned and trained and excellent engineer will get that sound together completely, and you'll be able to hear the entire Open Rewards prayer meeting. But last night was a concoction of a whole lot of, not even been able to get the sound. I think the video was good, the visuals were good. However, so at 7:18 last night, while I was in the midst of the Open Rewards prayer meeting, I also had this scheduled interview with WABC Radio with Lars Larson. What I'm going to do, I'm going to let you listen to that, and then I'm going to be right back. So check this out, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. Well, there's a very interesting race going on in New York City for New York mayor, and James David Manning declared his candidacy in that. Republican New York City mayoral candidate and longtime faith leader James David Manning. Pastor Manning, welcome to the program.
Thank you so very much, Lars, if I can call you that.
You can
for
call
having
me
on your broadcast tonight. I'm outside the venue where the debate is being held on Van Dam Street at LaGuardia College, so you're going to hear a lot of noise. I pray it's not too confusing. If so, I'll try to get inside where we can be heard clearer.
No, we can hear you 5 by 5 right now, but you want people to know some of the important background to Zohran Mamdani, who at this point, should we agree that he is the odds-on favorite to win as mayor, and that he's not only a communist, but he's also a very big supporter of Palestinian terrorists?
Well, I tend to not agree that he is the odds-on winner. Some may do that in Las Vegas, but I think a lot can happen between now and November 4th. But let me say this about Mamdani. He most assuredly is communist in his ideology, and that potentially can be as vile as anything in terms of the sweet taste of American politics and his Constitution, but he's also very much aligned with Hamas, and not just, if you will, Muslims who perhaps have had their fight or their disagreement with Israel, with the nation of Israel, with the Jews in general, but he's aligned with Hamas, a very violent organization that on the 7th of October 2 years ago went into the kibbutzes. And I'll say more about that when you give me an opportunity to do so.
No, I want you to do that, but I want you to help my audience around the rest of the country understand, why is it that New Yorkers are so willing, so many of them, maybe not the majority, but so many of them are willing to embrace this guy as the possible leader of America's biggest city?
I think a large portion of his vote comes from people or voters under the age of 35. Many of them perhaps have enjoyed the peace of America and did not realize the terror of 9/11. America has been at peace, has been at prosperity, and these young people just don't know what our great Constitution and our founding fathers have put together. And so they're willing to go with what they consider a new idea because he is young. But here, let me say this. Here's what I want to say to the young people.
Sure.
That when Hamas went into the kibbutzes on the 7th of October 2 years ago, they didn't just pick that date as a random date. Hamas went into the kibbutzes. They didn't go there as a fighting military force to take down members of the IDF or to try to gain some territory in the West Bank or try to, if you will, destroy some of the military stations of the IDF. They went there because they knew that there would be literally hundreds, if not thousands, of virgins. Now, please listen to me. Virgin Jews, Jewish girls that were virgins at a festival called Nova. They knew, those Hamas men knew, and they went there for that purpose. Now, the Islamic religion has this, if you will, twisted ideology and philosophy and theology that if you as a Hamas leader or if you as a Intifada fighter kill Jews and die in the process, of a suicide bombing, there would be 70 virgins in heaven waiting for you once you've completed that task. The Islamic people have, if you will, a sexual ideas or perverted, if you don't mind my saying so, about having virgins in heaven. And they went there, Lars. They went there because they knew all those Jewish girls were there. Those Jewish girls that were raped at that Nova festival had never seen a man's sexual organ, had never had sex. They were just young girls having fun. And the first time they encountered sex, it was rape by Hamas. And Mamdani will not condemn it. Damn it, he will not condemn it. He will not condemn no matter how.
And that's the mystery, isn't it, Pastor Manning, that this guy is accepted. I mean, in a city which, is a polyglot, it's as diverse as any city in America, and yet they're embracing this guy, and they know about his ties to Hamas. They know about his favoring the Palestinians. Why are New Yorkers so willing to do that? Just because of age and inexperience?
Well, that's a part of it. But the other part of it is that Cuomo is a washed up and uninteresting candidate who has his own baggage.
Oh, yeah.
And Mamdani would have never won the primary if Cuomo had been a viable, exciting, or interesting candidate. People really, young people again, without a sense of the priorities of this nation as far as protection of it and the fact that the Islamic religion, the Jews make up 12% of the population of New York. That's a lot of people. And across the board, no matter what the Jewish beliefs are, they fear that should this man become the mayor of the city of New York, that their lives are in grave danger because it is not going to just anti-Semitic ideology. It has now moved to violence in the city of New York against Jews. Then you ask the question, why is it that people have embraced this? Mainly because there has been a lot of rhetoric against the Jewish people, and most of it full of hate. Yep. And a number of young people and others feel, well, the Jews are getting their due by bringing this person to bring a sense of revenge. And that's where that's coming from. It's coming from the fact...
That is sad and disgusting. Pastor Manning, last thing. I've got about a minute. What are the things you propose to do to set New York straight?
The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cure homelessness in New York, and I'm going to move from the idea or the ideology of teaching low-income type of priorities. Lars, if you listen to the candidates and their policies, if they're talking about crime in New York, they're talking about housing in New York, they're talking about homelessness in New York. Those are the three major issues. You know where those issues come from? They come from the black neighborhood. They don't come from the Jewish neighborhood. You don't find homelessness in the Italian neighborhood. You don't find homelessness in the Irish neighborhood or the amount of crime, street crime. All that comes from the black community. It's a bit, if you will, misleading and to some degree racist. What I plan to do is to realize we have a problem fundamentally within the community, of black community, and we need to clean that up. We clean up the community, we clean up crime. We don't have to have policemen do it. Now, I know a lot of people think that's far-fetched. But listen, Bill Clinton put 100,000 policemen on the street. We have worse crime today. So more police ain't going to do it. We're going to have to look at the systemic, where these problems are coming from, and deal with them. And that's one of the things I'm going to do. I'm also going to raise the minimum wage. A lot of small businesses have a problem with that. I'm going to remove all taxes on any food sales. You go into McDonald's, you buy a Big Mac and a shake. It costs you $11. They charge you 90 cents tax. We're going to remove all taxes. There, you should not have to pay taxes to eat food.
No, you shouldn't. That's Pastor James David Manning, one of the candidates, a Republican candidate for mayor of New York City.
Okay, so that was my interview. That happened right in front of, while the debate was going to the candidates debate, while the candidates were debating on Three Stooges, I called them on the stage last night. I held that interview with Lars Larson. Let me just share some things with you. As I said before, I do want to help people. That's why I'm going to be the next mayor of New York City. I want to help people. I got a segment I'm going to do in a few moments called Snakes on a Plane. You can't wait to hear that. But I do want to say that I believe that the Lord did not want me on the debate stage. And I will go as far as saying that I'm not sure the Lord even wanted me running as a Republican. You say, well, then why did you register as one? Mainly because I wouldn't register as a Democrat under any circumstance. Probably even the Lord told me to do it. But and I believe I'm ready to believe now, and you can disagree with this, and we won't fall out. We'll still be friends, if you can call yourself my friend. I believe the reason I was thrown off of the ballot 3 times, no less, is because the Lord didn't want me on the ballot. Now, do I have a word from the Lord from my prayer meetings, my intercession time with Almighty God to validate what I'm saying? No, I don't. But I'm telling you what I know about the workings of Almighty God in my life. I believe, here's what I believe. I believe I'm not on the ballot because the Lord didn't want me on the ballot. I believe I'm not on the debate stage because the Lord didn't want me on the debate stage. I believe that the Lord is using a route that is not tried and tested and proven, a route that men use in such circumstances as seeking political office. I believe the Lord has taken me a totally different route. You know, yesterday and Jeremiah Farr is an extraordinary driver, one of the best I've seen. But we went across 125th Street, which you would never, I wouldn't try to fly an airplane over 125th Street. The traffic is so congested, and it takes you 3 or 4 stoplights to get through one block. That is to take 3 or 4 minutes sitting in one block. And if you got 10 blocks to go, it took us 30 minutes to get from 125th Street and Lenox Avenue to 125th Street and First Avenue. 30 minutes. And in the meantime, I kept telling Jeremiah Farr, rather, they got to do some jump in the bus lane here and there and pull out. So actually, we were at 3rd Avenue, and I told him to cut in front of this truck because there's going to be a traffic jam. This cement truck was going to block the intersection, and we were not going to be able to get through until the 4 or 5 light changes. So I told him to run out there, and when he did that, he cut off this guy driving the cement truck. And the cement truck guy got angry. They got cut off because everybody was angry. The traffic was stalling. Everybody was angry. And he actually took his truck as big. If you've seen these big cement trucks, right, with the cement tank on the back of it swirling around, he actually rammed that truck into the side of our vehicle. I was sitting on the side that he rammed. And I saw the truck coming. I thought it was going to stop. It just kept coming until I heard the sounds of screeching and breaking stuff. He actually rammed. He actually rammed us. He was angry with us. And so, at any rate, I got out and looked out. The Lord protected. The damage was almost as if somebody had ran a tricycle into our vehicle. There was no real damage, even though he rammed us with that great big truck. I mean, he rammed us, but there was very little damage. Anyway, so and we got there later than I wanted to be there to confront Cuomo's crowd and Mondami's crowd and Sleever's crowd. But when we got there, the debate had already gone in. Debate was getting ready to get started. And so we really didn't get a chance to deal with that issue when I finally got there and the police was all over the place, barricading everything off. I'm of the mindset that we're on course with Almighty God. Now, you say, well, Pastor, you got thrown off the ballot several times. Yeah, we did. And I certainly want to give thanks to everybody who went out in the cold of January, February, or March of this year out to Staten Island and all over every place to get signatures, and yet we were thrown off of the ballot. I believe it's the Lord's will. I think it's God's purpose that things are working out as they are. So we were on a debate. We were not on a debate stage last night, but I had an opportunity to confront Curtis Lewa, who was the one who had us thrown off of the debate stage. I had an opportunity to confront him last night as he came out of the venue. He came out thinking he had won the debate, probably thinking I'll give you my take on that a little bit later on. But he came strutting out last night and he had his SUVs lined up like he's already in the office because that's what they roll around, these black SUVs, as you know. But I had the opportunity to confront him last night. And I think that was more powerful than confronting his supporters. I think Curtis, here's what I can tell you this. Curtis Lee, what I'm talking about is I believe we're on track. This election is being handled. We're being on the debate stage where we are, our fundraising activities, people support is all God's plan. It is not a mishap. We're not misstepping. I think it's all God's plan. But what happened last night, I think Curtis Lee thought he had done a good job on the debate stage with Mandami and Cuomo. But when he came out last night with his chest poked out, I took the wind out of his sails and sent him home last night, probably as sick as he could possibly be. And not just that, but there were several reporters that gathered around him that I'm sure heard me say what I say to him. And you're going to see that in the print media very soon. And he's going to be forever known as Puss in Boots. But Mr. Engineer, as Curtis walks out of the venue, I'll just let you take a look. Listen to this. Hey, there's Puss in Boots. Hey, Mr. Puss in Boots. How'd you do tonight? Mr. Puss in Boots. How did you do tonight? How'd it go? Where are the other two stooges? Mr. Puss in Boots! Mr. Puss in Boots! I am James Manning, going to be the next mayor of New York City. I'm sure most of you are aware, and I'm going to redux this just as soon as it plays out. I'm going to just flip it again. But I'm sure many of you are aware of the cat food called Puss in Boots. Well, Sliwa's wife has 17 cats that live in an apartment with them on the west side of New York. 17 cats in one apartment. She's just an incredible animal lover. Well, cats are beautiful. If you want to ask Elizabeth, she would probably want to have as many cats also. But to call him Puss in Boots last night, I'm sure, because he came strutting out of there thinking that, that, Mr. Engineer could redux that, just rewind that. He came strutting out last night thinking he was the winner, and to some degree he wasn't defeated last night, I can tell you that. But he came strutting out last night until he heard me. That boy went home sick, because I ain't through with him. And I believe that this was better than being on the debate stage. I do declare before Almighty God. He cowered down rather than responding to me. He looked in my direction. He knows who I am. We met out in Staten Island. In fact, he's been in our church. He came to our church several years ago. So we know each other. We're not strangers. He knows exactly who I am. And he knows if there's anybody that can defeat him in this election, it's James Manning. So, but I'm going to run more time. Just let this run, Mr. Engineer. Hey, there's Puss in Boots. Hey, Mr. Puss in Boots. How'd you do tonight? Mr. Puss in Boots. How did you do tonight? How'd it go? Where are the other two stooges? Mr. Puss in Boots. Mr. Puss in Boots. I am James Manning, going to be the next mayor of New York City, Mr. Puss in Boots. Time to get home to feed the cats, Mr. Puss in Boots. Time to get home to feed the meows. Mr. Puss in Boots. Mr. Puss Puss in Boots. Time to go home to feed the meows. Hey, Sleazy Sleewah. Hey, Sleazy Sleewah. What are you talking about? Go back to the train and in the tunnels where you belong. Go back to the tunnels and the train, Dirty Curtis and Sleazy Sleewah. Mr. Puss in Boots, the cats are calling you. Come home and feed them. Go back to the tunnels, Dirty Curtis, Sleazy Sleewah. Dirty Curtis, Sleazy Sleewah. I'm James Manning, and I approve this message. Oh, I think that was better than being on the debate stage. I mean, being on the debate stage, I don't think very many people watch the debates. The first debate was watched by less than 500,000 people. People just aren't interested. Even though Mondami has a large following of young people, even they didn't watch the debate. They kept going through the candidates' debate. And I don't think very many people watched it last night as well. On the channel that it was on. But I think that particular moment right there under the leadership of Almighty God, to call out Curtis, and to ruin his evening. He came out thinking that he was the cat's meow. No pun intended. And I just ripped him apart by calling him Mr. Puss in Boots. The people that were standing beside him were shocked. You see those little police officers start trying to jump in front of me like they're going to do something to me. Well, I had my boys with me. Oh, the city of New York police officers and the city college had their police staff there. Mr. Engineer, just one more time, and I promise not to inflict myself upon y'all any further, but I found this very funny last night. Better than being on the debate stage. Hey, there's Puss in Boots. Hey, Mr. Puss in Boots. How'd you do tonight? Mr. Puss in Boots. How did you do tonight? How'd it go? Where are the other two stooges? Mr. Puss in Boots! Mr. Puss in Boots! I am James Manning, going to be the next mayor of New York City, Mr. Puss in Boots. Time to get home to feed the cats, Mr. Puss in Boots. Time to get home to feed the meows. Mr. Puss in Boots! Mr. Puss in Boots! Time to go home to feed the meows! Hey, Sleazy Sleewah! Hey, Sleazy Sleewah! What are you talking about? Go back to the train and in the tunnels where you belong! Go back to the tunnels and the train, Dirty Curtis! And Sleazy Sleewah, Mr. Puss in Boots, the cats are calling you. Come home and feed them. Go back to the tunnel. Dirty Curtis, Sleazy Sleewah, Dirty Curtis, Sleazy Sleewah. I was waiting for Osama bin Laden Jr., y'all call him Zoran Mondami. I was waiting for him to come out, but he snuck out the back door. No, he did. He snuck out the back door, and Andrew Cuomo snuck out the side door as well. They didn't come out the front entrance. I was waiting for them. I had something for Osama bin Laden Jr. too, had he came out, and for Fredo Corleone, Andrew Cuomo but they went out. They snuck away out the back door. By the way. I can't be sure that I think that the reports are that after the debate, that Cuomo went to a Knicks game at Madison Square Garden and met with Erica Adams. And the two of them were at the game this is after the debate, right? How he got from Long Island City into Madison Square Garden, Midtown Manhattan, 34th Street, enough to be to see the game, because the debate ended at 8:30. How did he get there? How did he get there so quick? Want to find out who his driver is. Anyway, here are these two snakes. Remember that Eric Adams said that Cuomo was a snake and a liar, and that New Yorkers would be disserviced by voting for him. He wouldn't vote for him. Well, guess what them two snakes did last night? They sat down together, and Eric Adams endorsed that snake, Andrew Cuomo, or Fredo Corleone, at the game last night. I actually got pictures. I got the audio version where Eric Adams said that this man, Andrew Cuomo, was a snake and a liar. Now he's telling New Yorkers to vote for him. Check this out. Mr. Engineer, roll that clip. Telling New Yorkers now vote for the man he called a snake. Damn. Damn.
Andrew Cuomo is a snake and a liar. I am in this race, and I'm the only one that can beat Mamdani. Andrew has had a career of pushing black candidates out of races. This is his career that must stop with me. This city can't go backwards, New Yorkers. This is a city that I inherited, where crime was out of control, COVID, no one wanted to be on our subway system. We watched what happened in housing. The reason people are having these conversations is because I made this city safe. I committed myself and dedicated myself to a city that I love. And I'm going to continue to do that. This polo shirt that I'm wearing that says Eric Adams, Mayor of the City of New York, I'm going to wear that for another 4 years. We can't go backwards. We can't have a city that's filled with encampments like I inherited. We can't have a city where crime and guns are on our streets like I inherited. We can't have a city where unemployment was high across the city, but specifically for black and brown communities like I inherited. While children were not getting a quality education like I inherited. Where low-income people were not receiving the support they deserve like I inherited. What we have done in 3.5 years shows why we have to continue the success we have. I have two spoiled brats running for mayor. They were born with silver spoons in their mouths, not like working class New Yorkers. I'm a working class New Yorker. They are not like us. They've never had to fight. They never had to struggle. They never had to go through difficult times like you and I had to go through, New Yorkers. This is such a pivotal and important period, and we have to get it right. And so there's a lot of reports that I'm in Washington on Monday. Those reports are wrong. I'm not. I'll be moving throughout this city in the 5 boroughs that made me mayor in the first place. I'm running for re-election, and I'm going to tell New Yorkers every day why I believe I should be the mayor of the city of New York in 2026. And yes, I hear the polls, I hear the comments, I hear the pundits, but those are the same polls that stated 8 weeks out that Andrew Cuomo was up by 36 points. And even his poll had him up by 10 points. Those are the same polls that stated he was going to walk into becoming the mayor of the city of New York, who he believes is a consolation prize because he made the determination to step down. I'm running, and I'm going to beat Mamdani, and I'm going to continue the success that this city has witnessed. And yes, there's many challenges, and yes, I hear it over and over again. It's almost Groundhog Day, folks. How many times have I been told throughout this journey to step aside, to surrender, to give up, to give in? That's the same thing we tell everyday New Yorkers. Everyday New Yorkers are not giving up, are not giving in, are not surrendering. So the mayor is not going to do that. The voters will determine who's the next mayor of this city, and I will respect the outcome from the voters. I love this city. I gave this city my all, and I'm going to continue to give them my all every day. And New Yorkers, you'll decide. Do you want a working class mayor that's like you, one who struggled like you, one who lived in poverty like you, one who wondered where your next meal will come from like you? Or do you want two individuals who had it all and decided that elitists would run the city and not a working class man?
Now, Elder Butler, I consider you a man of extraordinary wisdom, extraordinary understanding. But Elder Butler, Eric Adams made this statement on a Thursday afternoon, I think it was. 6 days later, he dropped out of it, saying he's in it to win it and gonna do it, and that he's the only one that can beat Mondami. That's what that man who is now the present mayor of the city of New York, Elder Butler, that's what that man who's now the present mayor of the city of New York said he's going to do, that he's in it to win it, and he's the only one that can beat Mondami. 6 days later, he said, I'm dropping out. Okay, all right. He said all these awful things about Cuomo, that he is a snake and that he is a liar, and that all the things that the city is enjoying, the city will be corrupted by Andrew Cuomo, that the man is a snake and a liar, New Yorkers. He doesn't come from the working class. He's born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and he's going to destroy all the things that he has worked as the mayor to bring New York crime levels, housing, and all that. All of that's going to eviscerate if you elect Cuomo, he said right there. You heard him. That Cuomo is not good for New York. That Cuomo is not good for the working class people. That Cuomo was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. And that Cuomo is for the elitists and for the corporations. And he went on and on and on about how awful Cuomo was. Well, guess what? Last night, he said, Cuomo's your boy. He's the one to run New York City, and I'm voting for Cuomo because Cuomo's the man to get the job. Damn. Now, can you see why, Elder Butler, can you see why the Lord didn't want me on that debate stage? Because I would have cussed him out. First of all, they would throw me off. I'm telling you, they would done the old Apollo thing on me. They would put a hook on me, and rightly so. I mean, can you look at how New Yorkers, from Elder Butler, New York, look at how this misfit. I mean, who can you trust? First, Eric Adams says Cuomo is a snake and a liar. What's snakes on the plane? Where's that photo? We got that photo of snakes on the plane. First, he said he was a snake and a liar, and that he's unfit, that he can't beat Mondami. And now Eric Adams, 3 days later, turns around and tells New Yorkers, vote for Cuomo. Damn. I mean, can you listen? I mean, either one of these men are unqualified, mainly because there's no integrity. They just lie. As I told y'all before, politicians do not have a humanitarian instinct. They don't. They just lie. And Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo are expecting you, everything that Eric Adams said about Cuomo being a snake and a liar, they are expecting you to disavow that, to say, well, he didn't really. I don't know what they're expecting, but they're expecting you now to turn around with all that garbage, all that he spoke about Cuomo, which was true, for you to turn around and say, we want this snake and this liar to be our mayor. I mean, have you ever heard anything? But this is politics. This is politics. This is how, and that's why I'll never step away from the word of God. I ain't gonna become like these creeps. I'd rather listen. I'd rather lose the election hands down than lose my integrity. You done lost your damn mind if you think I'm gonna give up the power of the word of God, the power of God himself, and be like these characters. No. If I don't win, I will still have my relationship with Jesus. But if I give up my relationship with Jesus, even if I win, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his own soul? But you don't understand that. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, you don't know how important it is. Hell, you'll trade it off for anything. You'll go to by the way of the politicians, everybody, because you don't have a relationship with Jesus. You don't have one, so you don't know what the feelings and commitments are to people that do have one. But Eric Adams now wants us to vote for Andrew Cuomo after all that said stuff he just said about him. But that's politics. And guess what? New York is going to say, all right, he's been endorsed by Eric Adams, so let's vote for Cuomo. That's just how gullible people are. I mean, it's like I got a thing I'm going to do probably in the next segment called Ain't No Free Bus Ride by this boy Mondani. So, yeah, I mean, so the snake's on the plane, Samuel Jackson. Oh, so I'm convinced that the Lord did not want me on the debate stage. And even the time I arrived last night, I think was a perfect timing. I think the whole thing is perfect timing, if you ask me, in terms of where we are. And as far as the election is concerned. And a lot of people came up to me last night, shook my hand, said, I watch you, and said, what about the foreclosure? What about that? One guy asked me, said, what's happening with the, I've been watching you, Pastor Ben, on YouTube. What about the foreclosure? And I need to get a copy of the deed. We won the foreclosure. At this very moment, as I now speak to you on the 23rd of October, the deed to the Bethelite Community Baptist Church remains in the hands of the Bethelite Community Baptist Church. We whooped the hell out of the Mellon Bank, the city of New York, and the Philip Little Liar law firm. I had to go through several attorneys. I went through as many as 7. I fired them, most of them, and others just ran away and quit. I kept telling them we can win this case. I kept telling them, they kept telling me about the law, and I don't know the law, and I'm not a lawyer, and I need to go to law school, and all that. But I kept telling them, no, we're going to win this. We can win this case. One lawyer who just got beside himself when I told him to file a motion on behalf of the 18%, he wouldn't do it and try to get me to go down a different route. I took out a lawsuit against him and won nearly $2 million against him. But, you know, these lawyers have a way, they act like you ain't got no damn common sense. And the other thing is that just because a statute's on the book or something's on the, whatever it is, a criminal procedure, a civil procedure, or whatnot, it doesn't mean that it can stand against a moving force and power of faith and facts against that particular statute under the circumstances of truth. And so we won. I, James Manning, that's me, not the lawyers that defended us. I, James Manning, won that case against the Mellon Bank after eviscerating them in terms of Warren Buffett and their financial, if you will, people investment in there. I, James Manning, won that case. And I'm going to win more. And I need to say this. I don't mean you got to put lawyers down, but I want to say this because I want New Yorkers to know if I can win against the Mellon Bank in the city of New York on such a matter that went on for 15 years, think of what I can do for the average working class New Yorker or for the corporate corporation. Think of what I can do with the court system, the judicial system. Think of what I can do in setting precedent and new statutes and creating new laws and new understanding and appreciation. Think of what I can do, because I can do it. I've done it. I've done it. I won. That's right. Now, is there some lingering question about the, if you will, referee's deed? Yeah, but well, I'll eviscerate that as well. But right now, we own this church and it ain't going nowhere. I won. Not the lawyers. I did it. I'm the one who believed I'm the one who believed in myself. I'm the one who believed. I'm the one who understood that my life depended on protecting these children, to protect the school, to protect the employer. Damn it, Mellon Bank, you ain't going to destroy these children. You're not going to destroy these workers. You're not going to destroy this community institution. Damn it, Mellon, you ain't going to do it over my dead body and over all the laws in the Lexis law book and every damn place else. You ain't going to do it. You're not going to get this building. You're not going to get it. Damn it. It ain't going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but me and my God, Jesus, who's a lawyer in a courtroom, we don't want to hear nothing about what can't be done and about statutes and that. We don't want to hear it. And I won. That's right. And I need to say that Why? That's my campaign speech. That's my policy speech. If I can do that, if I can beat the Mellon Bank, and here's why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because I want people to pick, oh, yeah, well, he did win. It was out there, and everybody knew that he was on the brink of being kicked out of that building, and he won. He absolutely. So I want people to know I can do that for New York all day, twice on Sunday, and can do it with my eyes closed and one hand behind my back. That's why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because I want New Yorkers to know I can fight for you. I will not give up because the law says this or some statute says that or some whatever. I will not give. I will fight for you. That's what I want you to know. And I believe the Lord has allowed us this victory to come at this time of my running for mayor so people can know I will fight for you. Who do you know is better at fighting the court systems than me? You don't know anybody right now. I'm the best lawyer in New York. That's right. I'm the best lawyer in New York and will be the best mayor, will be a magnificent mayor. And that's why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because I want people to know I will fight for you. I will, like I fought for the children. I fought for the school. I fought for the employees. I fought for the homeless. I fought for the working class. Do y'all understand what the hell I'm saying? You understand what the hell I'm saying? I fought for the working class. I fought for the children. I fought for the school. I fought for the employee. And I won. And I would not take no. I would not take defeat. I would not take it. I will do the same thing every day for every New Yorker. That's my campaign speech. You are Lars Larson. You want to know what I'm going to do? What kind of mayor I'm going to be? Well, you just saw me with the Mellon Bank. Ask the Mellon Bank. They actually tried to, they filed a motion, the Philip Little Lawyer Law Firm filed a motion saying I was a vexatious litigant. By that they mean they said that I just kept filing cases and filing cases. And I have over the past years, I've filed cases up the wazoo, both in federal court and state court. And they said I should be punished and sanctioned for filing so many cases. But I keep winning. I keep winning. They didn't argue the merits of their case, but they stopped arguing the merits of their case and start arguing the fact that I'm filing too many cases that they make them have to go to work and burn the midnight oil trying to figure out how to get around this new motion I just put in the court. Vexatious litigant. It's in the court. Now, Judge Kahn didn't grant it. He said he was on the verge of granting it, which would have made me labeled as a vexatious litigant. You can label me that as you want. I'm still coming back to court. I want New Yorkers to know I will fight for you. I want everybody to know I will fight for this church. I will fight my life. I will not let you harm the children. No, you ain't going to do that. No, you're not. I'm not going to walk away. I'm not. They told me that why don't you just find another building? I said, why don't you find another life? No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so listen, I have had Captain Michael Guzman do a thing, put our campaign accomplishments and what I'm going to do for New Yorkers in Latino. So I'm going to ask Mr. Engineer. Mr. Engineer, could you bring that up? And don't go anywhere, everybody. You're going to enjoy listening to this if you haven't heard it in the previous broadcast. But go ahead, Mr. Engineer.
James Manning es un humanitario, no un político. 2. Quiere ayudar a la clase trabajadora y a las zonas urbanas utilizando mis 40 años de experiencia. 3. Tiene experiencia práctica educando a más de 1 millón de hombres y mujeres sin hogar. 4. Tiene 40 años enseñando a buscadores de empleo de nivel inicial cómo progresar hacia puestos de alta dirección. 5. Ha graduado a 500 estudiantes. Algunos fueron aceptados en la Universidad de Yale, Willard, la Universidad de Nueva York, la Facultad de Derecho Cardoso y la Facultad de Derecho de Nueva York. Es un hombre que tomó la mano de mi abuelo Charlie Patterson, quien nació esclavo en 1862, estrechó la mano del presidente Carter en la Casa Blanca y lamentablemente estrechó la mano del presidente Trump en la Torre Trump en 2016. Ha logrado un éxito significativo en la lucha, navegación y litigio dentro de los sistemas legales de Estados Unidos, ganando notablemente contra uno de los bancos más grandes del país, como director ejecutivo de la Iglesia Misionera Mundial Atela, la Iglesia Bautista Comunitaria Betelite, el Sistema Escolar Atela, el podcast Trust in the Lord Hour, el Programa Nacional de Noticias de Manning Report, el Refugio de Personas Sin Hogar Betelite y el Programa de Desayuno Infantil. Está singularmente calificado para liderar la ciudad de Nueva York, Cree en y ama a Estados Unidos y su brillante constitución. Únete al movimiento de voto por escrito el 4 de noviembre de 2025 y escribe James Manning en la boleta para alcalde de la ciudad de Nueva York.
All right, so now we're going to capture our Latino friends, and we're going to go back up to Fordham Road in Grand Concourse. We got a very busy schedule this weekend. We're going back out to Staten Island. We got for the next 12 days, we're going to be all over the place. I think today I'd probably consider maybe going out to 125th Street because it's so close to our venue here. But I think I'm going to give everybody a break. But this weekend, Friday, I think we can go back to the concourse or to 125th Street. Saturday and Sunday, we're going to spend out on Staten Island. Let me show you the group of people. I had several pictures that Minister Williams, who had some surgery done today, and she's recovering from that. And also, we want to give a shout out to Evangelist Debbie Myers, who said she was listening to us last night on the broadcast, even though the sound was not as perfect as it should be. Sister Debbie Myers, we pray to see you back home soon. Sorry I haven't been to see you, Sister Myers, Virtuous Myers, but obviously you know I've been busy. And I haven't been just sloughing around, but our prayers go out for you, and I've asked all the members to pray for Virtuous Myers, and we've changed your picture. I hope you like the new picture. Anyway, so here, we want to show you some of the photos. These are the signs that we carried down to the venue last night. You haven't seen these before. These are brand new, and now we're going to make them yard signs as well. Do we have any other photos of our being out there last night as well? I think we had a couple I wanted to show people to give a sense. I think we took about 30 people down there. That's to that event last night. There's another group of us all lined up. I think we were lined up against, they're on Van Dam Street, facing the traffic on Van Dam Street. That we were lined up with Manning for mayor as a write-in candidate. By the way, a lot of people came up to me last night and said, people that were probably Cuomo's people, or maybe we have another one as well, I think we do. I think Cuomo's people or Dami's people, I don't know who they were. They said, well, we've seen your ad on television. And we're now running on every major television station in New York. I think we had one more. If we don't, we do. We don't. But we are now running on every major regional, local television station here in New York. We're not running on the national networks like CNN, MSNBC. Because there are not very many. There's some ads being ran by Mondami on the national networks because they're trying to deal with the fact that Mondami trashed Obama and Camelback ain't Black Harris. So they're trying to soothe that over because the national Democrats have not endorsed Mondami either. But yeah, that's what we were able to accomplish last night. Now, as I have been stated in times gone by, I would only do 1 hour. I'm going to do 2 hours today. I'm going to take us up to the top of the hour with Love and Righteousness, a great song that will last throughout the eternities about our campaign. And then I'll be back with more of the Manning Report and the Trust in the Lord Hour combined when that takes place. But I do want to remind you that we are now we're now at Psalms 138. I didn't get a chance to say that last night. There was just so much going on. By the way, Elder Butler, Elder Butler, you and I we've been friends. We've been members of and friends of Jesus for more than 40 years. You and your precious wife, Beatrice, or Martha, as I call her. And what would we be doing were I not running for the mayor of the city of New York? And there's so much excitement now in the church. Of what the young people are excited. I mean, we even got Ezekiel Norman coming on his own to the church to be a part of the process. But we're just at a point where, and what's going to happen when I become the mayor of the city of New York? It's going to be a very interesting time running the city of New York. I'm in the next segment, I'm going to have to play this one more time. Eric Adams said that Andrew Cuomo was a snake and a liar. Now he's telling us to vote for him. I wouldn't vote for either one of these creeps. As much as I wouldn't vote for Mondami under any circumstance. Even if the angel Gabriel came and told me to vote for Mondami, I wouldn't do it. But here are these two saying, here comes Andrew Cuomo. I mean, Eric Adams now telling us to vote for the man he just called a snake, and then Eric Adams said he was not going to leave the race. He can win it. The other thing is when it's Curtis Sliwa, Mr. Puss in Boots. Is he going to leave the race because John Catsimatidis, who owns the New York Republican Party. John Catsimatidis is the owner of Gristedes Supermarket. It's a big supermarket in New York. If you don't know it, it's a huge supermarket in New York. It still thrives, even with Costco and some of the other supermarkets that are pretty cut rate. Gristedes still functions, and he owns WABC Radio, which is still a very powerful, probably the most powerful radio station on the planet. Okay? John Catsimatidis owns it. But at any rate, so we're going back to Psalm 138 is where we're going to start our reading this today, actually, before our meals, and take 7 days until we get to next Wednesday night. I'm not sure where we'll be, but we got a heavy schedule. I do know we're going to be in Staten Island on Saturday and Sunday, campaigning. And we're going to be here in the Harlem area and the Grand Concourse area probably Friday, and we'll look and see and we're going to split up our parties going to various places. So I wanted to be able to say that, listen, I'm going to let Sabbath and love and righteousness take us to the top of the hour, but don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming right back with more of this extraordinary broadcast of the campaign of Manning going to the candidates debate. So hang tight, everybody. I'll be right back. Hey, Mondami, what's my name? What's my name? What's my name?
James Manning.
When you go into that voting booth on the 4th of November here in the New York City mayoral election, and when you go in there, whose name you're going to print in the write-in section? Whose name you're going to print in the write-in section on the ballot, Mondami? Who you going to print? Whose name?
James Manning.
Hey, Mondami, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Whose name you're going to print on the write-in section on the ballot on November 4th here in the New York City mayoral election?
James Manning.
All right now, let's get it on. I'm the only one that can cure the spiritual problems of New York City. I can bring healing and I can bring unity.
New York City, get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. New York City, get ready for a man who will fight for you in all your needs. If you're tired of the lies that you've been told, here's a chance for you to vote for truth. He's a man with a plan that will get you through your struggles.
I can
Doesn't
do it.
matter at all
I
how
can
hard your
restore
life
joy.
has been.
Back to New York
It's
City.
the dawn of a new day your eyes have never seen. Get ready for change and be truly set free. Love and righteousness. We don't need no politician. Love and righteousness is all we need. Love and righteousness. New York City needs love and righteousness. That's all we need. Yes, it can, yes, it can, yes, it can, and it can, and he will, cause he's the man. Yes, it can, yes, it can, yes, it can, and he can, and he will, cause he's the man. Yes, it can, yes, it can, yes, it can, and he can, and he will, cause he's the man. Yes, it can, yes, it can, yes, it can, and he can, and he will, cause he's the man. Love and righteousness. Yes, it can, yes, it can. We don't need no politician. Love and righteousness. Yes, it can, it's all we need. Love and righteousness. Yes, it can, yes, it can, and it can. New York City needs love and righteousness. Yes, it can, that's all we need.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is my first time doing 2 hours in a very long time. And we had a very trying night last night. And by the way, all those of you who went out with us, or about 35 people that went out with us, I promised to take y'all out to a pizza party after the event, but I didn't realize the event would go so long. We were there till 10 o'clock last night and waiting for Osama bin Laden Jr. to come out, but I heard he snuck out the side door. He and Fredo Corleone or Andrew Cuomo. But I do owe you a pizza party, and we will have our pizza party time. I enjoy those pizza parties. We sit and have pizza, everybody have pizza, and we talk, and after we do a hard day's work out on the campaign trail. It's been a lot of fun. And I tell you that, I mean, I think Virtuous showed up from Brooklyn last night to be a part of the event last night. Our ministry, what would we be doing, Elder Butler, what would we be doing were we not doing this? Of course, we'd be talking about art law, to be sure. We definitely need to take the time to upgrade our schools and upgrade our enrollment in our schools. We've kind of been so busy doing some other things. And then, of course, there's a lot of work going on in the building. We had our legal cases that we had with the foreclosure, and I gave a very passionate speech in the first segment, and I gave that speech, and I want to put it up on Facebook and YouTube, all the social media platforms, to let people know that I'm a good lawyer, though I don't have a law degree, and I'm not boasting, but I want people to know that I will fight for them. The lawyers we had really, they were interested in collecting money from us, but they didn't really fight. I know one lawyer laid out $45,000 on the table for us. Okay, that's good. And then one lawyer came and stood in our pulpit, and said he's going to protect us and take care of us, but he didn't. At least as far as I'm concerned. And we had to dismiss a lot of attorneys. But what I want the people to know is that I'm a fighter. And if I will do this for the people of this community, then I'll do it for New Yorkers. That's my message. And I'm going to put that message I just did a few moments ago. I'm going to put that message up on all the social media platforms so people will know if I can fight the way I fought for the children in this church, the way I fought for the homeless people in this church, the way I fought for the working class people in this church, I will fight for every New Yorker the same way. And that's the message that New Yorkers need to hear. And they need to see the proof in the pudding. When I can take down the Mellon Bank and one of America's large law firms, when I can take them down, when James Manning can take them down, I am not through with them, by the way. I'm going for $500 million in damages of discriminatory, unjust, unconstitutional practices against our church. I'm not through with them. But I want the people to know I'm a fighter. That's who I am. I have a proven track record of winning. And I won big time. And I want people to know that. No, I'm going to put that up on all social media platforms. And should I become the mayor of the city of New York, I will fight for New Yorkers. The same way I fought for the members of this community in this church. So what I'd like to be able to do is, again, state that I do want to help people. I do. I recognize that there are a lot of people that are suffering. And all I've done since I've been in this building and been in the ministry is help people. I've done what Jesus said. I fed the hungry. God knows I've done that. Everybody knows I've done it. I've clothed the naked. God knows I've done that. And Sister Mingo has sent clothing for me and for my staff. And I visited the prisons. Everybody knows I've been in and out of the prisons, visited them, not as a convict. And the hospitals. I've visited the hospitals. I've gone to the graveside of a lot of people. Over the years, the graveside, the ashes to ashes, the dust to dust, I've done. I've stood and I've comforted people. I've helped people through difficult times when their families are struggling, how to pay the funeral bills, what to do, how to do it. Funeral costs are going up. People don't have it. People didn't have a life insurance, and yet I stepped in. This church stepped in. And you don't know anything about that. I've been fighting for people. And I want to help. If I go to city, if you send me down to City Hall, the way I've helped people at times of death, at funerals, sicknesses, and we have a young lawyer that's working with us now. His name is Counselor Pollard. we met out on the campaign trail going back about 4 or 5 months ago. He said to me, Pastor Manning, I said, he used to be a member of this church. He went to law school. I think he was in this church, and he was born in this church, and he went to this elitist school up in Massachusetts. It's this very, very elitist school, a bunch of white students where the children of billionaires go. Well, he was selected to go to that school because he's very bright, very smart. He went there. They came and actually picked him up in a limo and drove him all the way up there in a limousine. Then he went to Duke University. He went to law school. He graduated law school. And his mother left the church, as he was graduating law school. But he came up to me out on the campaign trail a few months ago, and he said, Pastor Man, I want to help you. I said, why? He said, because when we were being evicted from my mother and I were being evicted, you stepped in and helped us get a place to live. And he said, I'll never forget that. That's what he said. He says, I want to help you because you helped us. And I'm glad he recognized that. But, he's not the only one. All I've ever done, America and the world, is help people. I've not aggrandized myself. Not picked out some nice things for myself and a little bit every now and then. But you don't mind if we have a little something, my God. But all I've ever done is help people. I mean, people like to have stories like that where I've helped them in housing, helped them with their food, helped feed them when they were hungry. And if I become the mayor of the city of New York, I want people to know about those cases I won. I want people to know about the people I've helped houses, people I've educated. I've done that. That's what I've done routinely and with my eyes closed. That's what and I want everybody to know that. But here, let me say this to you as well, as much as I want to help people. I really believe that the Lord has orchestrated it that we should not be on the debate stage. No point in me being on the debate stage yelling back and forth about them. I could talk about our principles. By the way, I do have a couple of videos coming up. One is called "I'm going to infuse $41 billion into working class neighborhoods." That'll be coming up on this hour. And the other will be either Manning or Massacre will be coming up on this hour as well. So hang tight for those two. What I want to do now is let you hear the interview I had last night with Lars Larson of WABC Radio. I was doing this. I was multitasking rather. I was during the Open Rewards prayer meeting, doing my campaign thing at the campaign video, and also holding an interview at the same time with WABC Radio and Lars Larson. So, Mr. Engineer, roll that clip, if you will, please. Check this out, everybody. You're going to like this.
Well, there's a very interesting race going on in New York City for New York mayor, and James David Manning declared his candidacy in that. Republican New York City mayoral candidate and longtime faith leader James David Manning. Pastor Manning, welcome to the program.
Thank you so very much, Lars, if I can call you that.
You can call
having
me
on your broadcast tonight. I'm outside the venue where the debate is being held on Van Dam Street at LaGuardia College, so you're going to hear a lot of noise. I pray it's not too confusing. If so, I'll try to get inside where we can be heard clearer.
No, we can hear you 5 by 5 right now, but you want people to know some of the important background to Zohran Mamdani, who at this point, should we agree that he is the odds-on favorite to win as mayor, and that he's not only a communist, but he's also a very big supporter of Palestinian terrorists?
Well, I tend to not agree that he is the odds-on winner. Some may do that in Las Vegas, but I think a lot can happen between now and November 4th. But let me say this about Mamdani. He most assuredly is communist in his ideology. And that potentially can be as vile as anything in terms of the sweet taste of American politics and his Constitution. But he's also very much aligned with Hamas, and not just, if you will, Muslims who perhaps have had their fight or their disagreement with Israel, with the nation of Israel, with the Jews in general. But he's aligned with Hamas, a very violent organization that on the 7th of October 2 years ago went into the kibbutzes. And I'll say more about that when you give me an opportunity to do so.
No, I want you to do that, but I want you to help my audience around the rest of the country understand why is it that New Yorkers are so willing, so many of them, maybe not the majority, but so many of them are willing to embrace this guy as the possible leader of America's biggest city?
I think a large portion of his vote comes from people or voters under the age of 35. Many of them perhaps have enjoyed the peace of America and did not realize the terror of 9/11. America has been at peace, has been at prosperity, and these young people just don't know what our great Constitution and our founding fathers have put together. And so they're willing to go with what they consider a new idea because he's young. But here, let me say this. Here's what I want to say to the young people.
Sure.
That when Hamas went into the kibbutzes on the 7th of October 2 years ago, they didn't just pick that date as a random date. Hamas went into the kibbutzes. They didn't go there as a fighting military force to take down members of the IDF or to try to gain some territory in the West Bank or try to, if you will, destroy some of the military stations of the IDF. They went there because they knew that there would be literally hundreds, if not thousands, of virgins. Now, please listen to me. Virgin Jews, Jewish girls that were virgins at a festival called Nova. They knew, those Hamas men knew, and they went there for that purpose. Now, the Islamic religion has this, if you will, twisted ideology and philosophy and theology that if you as a Hamas leader or if you as a Intifada fighter kill Jews and die in the process of a suicide bombing, there would be 70 virgins in heaven waiting for you once you've completed that task. The Islamic people have, if you will, a sexual ideas or perverted, if you don't mind my saying so, about having virgins in heaven. And they went there, Lars. They went there because they knew all those Jewish girls were there. Those Jewish girls that were raped at that Nova festival had never seen a man's sexual organ, had never had sex. They were just young girls having fun. And the first time they encountered sex, it was rape by Hamas. And Mandami will not condemn it. Damn it, he will not condemn it. He will not condemn no matter how.
And that's the mystery, isn't it, Pastor Manning, that this guy is accepted. I mean, in a city which, you know, is a polyglot, it's as diverse as any city in America, and yet they're embracing this guy, and they know about his ties to Hamas. They know about his favoring the Palestinians. Why are they willing? Why are New Yorkers so willing to do that? Just because of age and inexperience?
Well, that's a part of it. But the other part of it is that Cuomo is a washed-up and uninteresting candidate who has his own baggage.
Oh, yeah.
And Mondami would have never won the primary if Cuomo had been a viable, exciting, or interesting candidate. People really, young people again, without a sense of the priorities of this nation as far as the protection of it and the fact that the Islamic religion, the Jews make up 12% of the population of New York. That's a lot of people. And across the board, no matter what the Jewish beliefs are, they fear that should this man become the mayor of the city of New York, that their lives are in grave danger because it is not going to just anti-Semitic ideology. It has now moved to violence in the city of New York against Jews. Then you ask the question, why is it that people have embraced this? Mainly because there has been a lot of rhetoric against the Jewish people, and most of it full of hate. Yep. And a number of young people and others feel, well, the Jews are getting their due by bringing this person to bring a sense of revenge. And that's where that's coming from. It's coming from the fact
that is sad and disgusting. Pastor Manning, last thing. I've got about a minute. What are the things you propose to do to set New York straight?
The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cure homelessness in New York, and I'm going to move from the idea or the ideology of teaching low-income type of priorities. Lars, if you listen to the candidates and their policies, if they're talking about crime in New York, they're talking about housing in New York, they're talking about homelessness in New York. Those are the three major issues. You know where those issues come from? They come from the black neighborhood. They don't come from the Jewish neighborhood. You don't find homelessness in the Italian neighborhood. You don't find homelessness in the Irish neighborhood, or the amount of crime, street crime. All that comes from the black community. It's a bit, if you will, misleading and to some degree racist. What I plan to do is to realize we have a problem fundamentally within the community, of black community, and we need to clean that up. We clean up the community, we clean up crime. We don't have to have policemen do it. Now, I know a lot of people think that's far-fetched. But listen, Bill Clinton put 100,000 policemen on the street. We have worse crime today. So more police ain't going to do it. We're going to have to look at the systemic, where these problems are coming from, and deal with them. And that's one of the things I'm going to do. I'm also going to raise the minimum wage. A lot of small businesses have a problem with that. I'm going to remove all taxes on any food sales. You go into McDonald's, you buy a Big Mac and a shake. It costs you $11. They charge you 90 cents tax. We're going to remove all taxes. You should not have to pay taxes to eat food.
No, you shouldn't. That's Pastor James David Manning, one of the candidates, a Republican candidate for mayor of New York City.
All right, everybody. So actually, I'm running as an independent, Lars. So we need to, get that cleaned up a bit. But here, on that last question he asked me about policies, there are two things I want to do in this segment. The time I have left is to take a closer, more refined look at my policies, such as they are. And as I said before, you're not going to stop street crime in New York by bringing in more police officers. We fundamentally have a problem. All the issues that are being contested or being debated in this mayoral election are issues that are generated in the black neighborhoods. We're not talking about the judicial system. We're not talking about Wall Street. We're really not talking about any of those kinds of issues that are hidden behind either white-collar crime or white-collar corruption. We're talking basically about street crime that black people and done mainly by black people and no other race. Homelessness that is 100% of 99% all black people, not any of and men and women and children that are now homeless. As it gets worse, as we continue to inculcate more, if you will, satanic black leaders like Al Sharpton, Eddie Gloyd, and a bunch of others, Van Jones, these commentators that sit on television, as their weaknesses, their ignorance, and their perversion is creating homelessness. It used to be, going back 20 years ago, just men were homeless. Now the instability and the ludicrous of the present leadership, black leadership, had produced homelessness for women and children. These Negroes are in trouble. So here, I want you to listen to something I said the other day, and I'll get back to you. Mr. Engineer, roll that clip. I do want to help people. I do want to help people. I want to help men learn to be fathers. I told y'all yesterday that the tragedy here, the thing that the open, if you will, secret is that black children are the most fatherless children on planet Earth. Doesn't matter where you go, what continent, what nation, even to the Eskimos. There are no children on planet Earth who have less fathers than black children. Now, they have men that made that woman pregnant and she gave birth, but the children don't have fathers. And the people, if you look at the totem pole and the pecking order, the children who have the least fathers, the less fathers, are black children. And that's a fact. And then the women who are less loved, who have less husbands, who are less protected, who have less secure homes. The women who are at the bottom of the totem pole of less love, less husband, less protection, less security are black women. So black women and black children are at the bottom of the totem pole as a result of black men, their behavior and their action. A large part of it supported by rap ideology, which has become a philosophy and a religion. Rap is a religion of the devil. But also, and I know some of y'all get all hissy-fitted when I say this, but since the time of Dr. King, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Barack Obama, Karen Bass, Bill Bradley, a bunch of other black mayors and politicians and whatsoever, David Dinkins, Charles Rangel, a bunch of other people, T.D. Jakes, and a bunch of other preachers, since the era of those times, starting in the mid-60s to present, there's been an absolutely evisceration of the black family. There used to be a time when out of 9 out of 10 black family homes had a father in the home. Now it's just the opposite. 9 out of 10 families don't have a father in the home or a husband. The black woman is the hardest working, however, she's the most ill-treated. She gets less love than any other woman on the planet. And when she gets love, it's almost like a rape. Or that she's got to pay the man to have sex with her, knock her up and have babies. Once again, just let me say this, is that the black children, wherever you see them, and they're going to turn out to be criminals, drug addicts, some of them are going to be psychologically disarranged. They're going to be at the bottom of the totem pole as well because they don't have fathers. They don't have the key. We don't need no politicians. We don't need no civil rights leader. We don't need the Al Sharptons. What we need are men to return home to their children and that they give birth to. Everybody on the planet, every other civilization on the planet, fathers care for their children, except for black men at the largest rate of abandonment. And that's what I want to talk to people about. And that's why I need to be mayor. We don't need to talk about no damn free bus rides. We don't need that. And the black woman, what's wrong with y'all sisters? You know that you are the least loved. You don't get no loving. And the man that you gave your loving to when you were young that walked off is with some other woman or he's in jail somewhere. You ain't getting no loving. You got to claw your fingers to the bone to pay the rent, to put food on the table, to keep the lights on. You got to do all of that. Then here he comes. He wants some other man to see you on the street looking at your posterior, whistling at you. He ain't no good for you either. Your children, your boys are being raised up, getting older, ain't got no father. And you can't be no father to those boys. Or that girl who now is going to pick up a man just like you picked up when you were 13, 14, 15 years old. You went or started fooling around with some man who knocked you up. And now look at you and your daughter going to do the same thing. And yet you want to reject me who comes with the truth. I'm not coming with all this civil rights. That's the stuff that got us in trouble. You're the least loved woman. What's wrong with you? You're the least loved, least sexed, least protected, least encouraged, and you're running around here talking about Al Sharpton as a good leader, or you're talking about even all these other black politicians who are the worst source, and these so-called black professors like this Eddie Gloyd and all Van Jones and a bunch of others sitting up in these college professors promoting homosexuality like growing sweet potatoes and tomatoes on the farm I lived in down in North Carolina, the way they keep growing men to be homosexual, even cutting off the supply of men that perhaps could be men. They're sitting there saying it's advantageous. The white liberal intelligentsia, they like homosexual men. They don't like a strong man like Pastor Manning. They like homosexual men that are very effeminate. And so you can get a job in the seminary, you can get a job in the university, you can get a job on the news program if you're an effeminate black man, but they don't want no real roaring lion black man like Pastor Manning. And so now the one area where you could have maybe got a man, these liberal whites are turning him into a homosexual, and they got all these other Van Jones and Eddie Gloyd and Cornel West and a bunch of others out there helping to cultivate more homosexual black men. It's a mess out here, and I'm going to straighten it out. No, I am, with the truth. But the thing of it is, if nothing else bothers you, you know yourself that black children don't have fathers, and it's not right. That black men ought to be able to run around, call women bitches, rap, and wear these gold chains, and do all that. And while the black children are suffering and listen to this rap music, which is the anthem of the anthem of hell itself. Well, Pastor Manning, he ain't for the black man. He's not for the black culture. He ain't for Black Lives Matter. He ain't for defund the police, and on and on. Listen, let me say something to you. That if nothing more, you may say, okay, well, a black woman don't have a man, she ain't getting no loving, ain't got no sex, she's got sex toys, and because ain't no man coming around to see her no more. She done lost her 23-year-old look, and now nobody's interested in seeing her. At the very least, you ought to listen to me. And if you go along with all this other liberal white stuff that's being pushed at you by all these liberal white people, you ought to say, wait a minute, these black children need to be raised by a father. Now, this ain't right. This ain't right that a child got to grow up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old and don't see no daddy, don't know who daddy is. You ought to at the very least say, wait a minute now, I may be selfish enough to want to be a homosexual and want to push tranny and all that other stuff and slap Pastor Manning and try to marginalize him. But let me say something. These children deserve better than this. These children growing up in these black homes and these tenement buildings and these low-income housing that Cuomo and Mondami want to be a more low-income housing, these children ought to have a father. Now, maybe I don't like Pastor Manning, this or that and the other, but these children, they deserve a chance at life. They're going to end up in jail. The police going to crack their heads by the time they're 14 years old. By the time they're 17, they're going to be sentenced for a crime as an adult. They deserve to have a father, and Pastor Manning is right. And I need to stop fighting him, get behind him, and get rid. We need to run Al Sharpton out of town on a rail and all the people he hang out with. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a great big division between black people today here in New York. Letitia James and Eric Adams and Al Sharpton and a bunch of other black politicians. Al Sharpton's on the outs. He's on the outs with Eric Adams. He's on the outs with Letitia James. They all are fighting with one another now. It's a mess going on up here in New York. I mean, this is the same place in Houston and Dallas and San Francisco and Chicago as well. It's a mess. Black people are all scattered all over. They're not united anymore. But listen, so I wanted to be able to state for the children, black children need their fathers, and say somebody need to be talking about that man going back home to take care of his children, run a damn free bus ride and free grocery store. The hell with that. The hell with that. What the hell's wrong with y'all? What the hell is wrong with y'all people? These black children need more low-income housing. That woman and her 3 children in a low-income house. Is that right? No. Hell, let them live in a teepee. But if that father is there, if the mother and the father are there kissing one another, or holding one another's hands, or making all those sex noises in the bedroom where the children can hear them at night, well, that's what needs to be happening. The hell with low-income housing. Let them live in a damn teepee. And the children have to hear mama and daddy and they're groaning at one another at night. Well, that's all right. Hell, that's life. But at least mom and dad is together. And the children got a father who will crack their head. Don't need the police in there cracking their head. So, y'all, I mean, I've never seen so many sick people. What the hell is wrong with y'all? What's wrong with y'all? Wrong with y'all? Low-income housing. We need more this. And we know, what you don't. You need that man to get back home. That's what you need. And take care of them children. That would have stopped the crime in the street. You can stop crime in a heartbeat. Put that father back in the home. That boy ain't gonna grow up and out there robbing and stealing and wearing his pants below his butt. Won't go to school, ain't got no sense, don't know algebra or geometry, don't know none of that stuff, don't know history, don't know a damn thing. All he knows is how to rap. He knows every damn rapper, when they got started, every song they ever made, he can record every damn one. But ask him to do a long division or multiplication. That nigga wouldn't know how to do a long division or multiplication if you paid him $50 million. But he knows every rapper. Oh, no. Well, Pastor Manning, well, he just too harsh and no. Nobody else. The Chinese people don't live like y'all. Everybody, Chinese people looking at that, doggone them black people. They ain't watch you see young black boys, watch out because they ain't got no father. Because they ain't got no father, they ain't no telling what the hell they'll do. The Italians, at least they stay home and the Italian father knocks that Italian boy in the head. That's right. You betting a Jewish mama. The closest thing I ever seen to a man being a father is a Jewish mama. That woman, she don't play. That Jewish mama, she don't play. Now, Jewish father, he's dead too, but that Jewish woman, Lord have mercy, you want to stay with God, she don't play. No, you're going to do the right thing. You're going to law school, boy. You're going to medical school. Don't be talking to me about you want to play some damn baseball or basketball. Don't you be talking, what the hell you think you are, LeBron James or something damn about it? Boy, you're going to law school. That Jewish woman, tell that boy. You won't get no more matzah bread. Yes, sir. No, this is what we need, and that's why I'm going to be the next mayor of New York City, because y'all going to listen and finally recognize, hey, but what I'm voting for Cuomo. Who is Mondami anyway? What does he want? 33-year-old, wet behind the ears, don't even know how to pee straight. Talking about he wants to be the mayor of the city of New York. No, we don't need that. Let him come. Tell him to go and come again. Tell him to go spend another 20 years learning something, sitting at Pastor Manning's church learning something. Then maybe he can run for mayor when he gets 55, but not right now. No. All right, so listen, save the black children, send fathers home. There's a song by Shep in the Limelights from years ago. Daddy's home. He's not 1,000 miles away. Send daddies back to the homes. Amen. Praise Almighty God. Hey, Mondami, what's my name? What's my name? What's my name?
James Manning.
When you go into that voting booth on the 4th of November here in the New York City mayoral election, and when you go in there, whose name you going to print in the write-in section? Whose name you going to print in the write-in section on the ballot? Mondami, who you going to print? Whose name?
James Manning.
Hey, Mondami, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Whose name you going to print on the write-in section on the ballot on November 4th here in the New York City mayoral election?
James Manning.
All right now, let's get it on. Listen, everybody, I need you to help me whoop Mondami's Palestinian Hamas Intifada Farquhar rear end. I need you to help me. Look at me. Can you do that? Cuomo is now being endorsed by the man that 2 weeks ago called him a snake and a liar. You know that, right? I presented that. And he's telling you the man he said was not qualified to lead New York, now he's telling you to vote for him. I need you to help me beat Mondami. I need you to help me whoop his butt. Now, I believe that Almighty God has orchestrated this campaign that I'm running to run the exact. I believe I'm off of the ballot because God didn't want me, his name is Jesus, didn't want me on the ballot. I believe that. Now, do I have an actual word from the Lord? Pastor, man, is that a prophecy? I don't have that as a prophecy, no, but I believe it. I believe that the Lord did not want me. I believe that this campaign is being ran by Jesus. I believe that. And I believe that really New Yorkers, listen, everybody, come on now. After Eric Adams told you that Andrew Cuomo was a snake and a liar, now he's telling you to vote him in as the mayor of the city of New York. What the hell what? What? You just told us the man, Eric, hey, Mayor Adams, you just told us the man is a snake. Just told us the man is a liar. And everybody knows that Mondami is a snake oil salesman and a liar too. Everybody knows that he's a Hamas freak, that he is an Intifada Islamic, if you will, freak, want to lead revenge against, he want to eviscerate the Jews. I mean, the Muslims are going to Juma this Friday like you ain't never, they're going to pack out the mosque like you ain't never seen. Because they want revenge against the Jews. They do, going all the way back to David Ben Gurion in 1948. And if this boy, Mondami, who ain't scared, Mondami ain't scared of the Democrats. Hell, he ain't scared of Mondami ain't scared of Camelback ain't black. Mondami ain't scared of Hakeem Jeffries or the Senator Schumer. He ain't scared of Mondami. Ain't scared of them people. He's a Muslim. God, whoa. He don't care. Don't give a damn. He ain't scared of it. He knows he become the mayor of the city of New York. It's all over for the rest of y'all unless y'all gonna say inshallah and God bless Muhammad and Allah. Peace and blessings be. Listen, what the hell up out there? What's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with you? And that'd be one thing if that would just be the case. But Eric Adams not telling you to vote for the man he just said was a liar and a snake. I need you to help me. Now, listen, the people that are locally, here's what we're going to be doing. Today is we're going to just kind of take a chill pill after being out so late last night. I'm going to bring up my calling, what's his name, Puss in Boots in just a moment. Hang tight for a second. And then tomorrow we're going to Grand Concourse and Fordham Road and 125th Street and St. Nicholas Avenue. And then on Saturday, we're going to Staten Island, and we're going to be there till the evening shadows fall. And then early Sunday morning, we're going back out to Staten Island. We're going to be out there all day at Staten Island. We're going to spend at least 36 hours on Staten Island on this coming weekend. And so it's important that you realize that even tomorrow, we're going to have a group down on 86th Street and Lexington Avenue tomorrow. So so Grand Concourse, 125th Street, St. Nick, at 86th Street and Lexington Avenue, and then Friday and Saturday, Staten Island. Help me. I mean, you sit there and say all the silly things that you can say, and then for Eric Adams to now say that Cuomo is the best man to be the mayor of the city of New York is ridiculous. You need someone. You may not agree with everything I say, and you may have let somebody tell you to disagree with me. You may have been following these people who have created these fatherless homes. The black woman ain't getting no loving. The white one, there used to be a thing in commercial television called "Blondes Have More Fun." Y'all remember that? Blondes have more. Not do blondes have more fun, but blondes have more fun. You got black women trying to be blonde now. But at any rate, the thing of it is that the white woman gets 4 times as much loving. She gets 4 times as much Valentine candy. She gets 4 times as much kissing. The white woman, she gets loving. That woman gets some loving. She gets 4 times more than the black woman. You see a black woman, she got a scowl on her face. You know why? Because she ain't getting no loving. That's right. She may have some lipstick on, but that black woman, she ain't getting no loving. That black woman, cause ain't no man gonna love her. And then y'all listen to all these liberal, if you will, white people trying to tell black men you have a better chance of getting a job as a professor, getting on television as a news anchor or whatever it is, getting into politics if you will switch a little bit and become homosexual. So they do it. Anyway, so last night I had my time. I had my debate with, that's all I needed. I had with Curtis Lee. Well, check this out. This was better than, as far as I'm concerned, this was better than being on a debate stage. Roll this clip, Mr. Engineer. Hey, there's Puss in Boots. Hey, Mr. Puss in Boots. How'd you do tonight? Mr. Puss in Boots. How did you do tonight? How'd it go? Where are the other 2 stooges? Mr. Puss in Boots. Mr. Puss in Boots. I am James Manning, going to be the next mayor of New York City, Mr. Puss in Boots. Time to get home to feed the cats, Mr. Puss in Boots. Time to get home to feed the meows. Mr. Puss in Boots. Mr. Puss in Boots. Time to go home to feed the meows. Sleazy Sliwa! Hey, Sleazy Sliwa! What are you talking about? Go back to the train and in the tunnels where you belong. Go back to the tunnels and the train, Dirty Curtis and Sleazy Sliwa. Mr. Puss in Boots, the cats are calling you. Come home and feed them. Go back to the tunnels. Dirty Curtis, Sleazy Sliwa. Dirty Curtis, Sleazy Sliwa. I guess one final thing I want to, well, two things actually. I want to show you the policies of my planning to infuse $41 billion into the working class communities. I want you to hear this. Perhaps you've heard it previously. If you haven't, you need to hear this as you prepare to vote next Tuesday for me to be the mayor of the city of New York. I think it's a brilliant plan. And so I'm going to let you listen to it. Ms. Engineer, would you bring that segment up? We recorded it some time ago. And people need to hear this. And not only this, but I have a number of other things. I want people to know also that I'm a fighter. I want people to know that I'm perhaps the best lawyer in New York at the present time. And I say that because I'm a winner. And I want people to know, listen, I will fight for you. I will just turn tail and say, well, it can't be done. It's impossible. That's what the L&M cigarette said. They said it couldn't be done. They said nobody could do it. But the L&M has added cigarettes with more taste to it. No, I don't live by the fact that somebody says something can't be done. And I won. I whooped the hell out of the Mellon Bank and the Philip Little law firm in the city of New York. I'm going to whoop them again. I ain't through with them. Listen to this, what I plan to do with working class neighborhoods. Mr. Engineer, roll that clip. Now, the next thing I do want to say in terms of my candidacy and my becoming the next mayor of the city of New York, I plan to raise the minimum wage to $27 per hour. And I plan to do that quickly and as effectively as I possibly can. One of the reasons why there is homelessness and there's crime and there are ghettos is because the people in those particular neighborhoods don't get the kind of pay that they get. And we only think that people who have college degrees should be well paid. But there's a truth out there now that's saying to a large number of people, you go to college, you run up a $150,000 college tuition bill and you get out and you barely can't find a job. And so a number of people are thinking that, well, if I can just get some good training and develop some skills, perhaps I don't need the college education. I'm not telling anybody not to go to college. God forbid. What I am saying is that there has been a structure that has been supported by working class people to only honor people with large degrees. You don't have to have a degree to run a bake shop. And I'm thinking about Truth LaFleur, who wants to run a bake shop. You don't have to have a college degree, to run a small business, to open up a paint store or open up a haberdashery store and make $300,000-$400,000 a year. You don't need a college degree to do that. What you need is a structured skill. So what I'm going to do is by raising the minimum wage, that'll give everybody at least a running start. Then we're going to create if you will, if you must, gentrification housing loan pool where people who are physically anchored, spiritually anchored can go and borrow and buy a house, borrow up to $2-3 million to buy a house. And a part of the commitment of the loan that they would get at a very low interest rate, of no interest at all, is that they would take in a homeless family. That they would take in a family. We have a family in our church like Brother Broner. Not sure where he's living right now. He's got 3 children, his wife. They all come to church on Saturday, and the baby just cries and interrupts my sermon like you won't believe. The baby don't do anything until I start preaching. But a family like that needs an opportunity. If, let's say, for instance, that Elder Smith buys a home, buys one of the brownstones you'll see across the street. that's a 3-family house. He rents out a whole floor to the Bronner family. They have to pay him rent. He now has to manage the house. We want to replicate that kind of an event into the neighborhoods, and if we can get people who are working at a minimum wage of $27 per hour, making at least $50,000 per hour, $50,000 to $70,000 per year, then they can afford the rent. Now they'll still be skimping. I plan, listen to this, and I'll say this to the gentrifiers. While I've been definitely against your moving into this community, but I've told you over the years, you have not realized your dream of an ideal community where you paid $5-6 million for a house and you're now living in an Astor neighborhood. It isn't happening. But here's what I'm going to do. Gentrifiers and everybody else. First of all, there needs to be some reconciliation, and gentrifiers need to come to talk to me. But I'm going to clean up. If you walk down 125th Street here in Harlem in New York City, it's now Outlaw, you see people sleeping on the street. You see all kinds of disparaging, if you will, kinds of activities going on 125th Street. People that are on drugs, people that have no mattress, have no spoon, have no curtain, have no table. Every curtain, a table, or napkin that they use, or toilet that they use, or toilet paper that they use belongs to somebody else. I'm going to sweep 125th Street broom clean, where it'll look like, well, we were in Paris several years ago, and I think that we were on what was known as the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Terrace or Street. It's right near the Champs-Élysées and not too far away from the Eiffel Tower. Beautiful community, beautiful neighborhood, absolutely beautiful. Well, better yet, I'm going to have the streets of Harlem look like 62nd Street on the east side, between the 3rd and 2nd Avenue and 1st Avenue. All those beautiful streets where there's never anything awry, never a garbage can out of place, never a litter on the street. Just very beautiful tree-lined community. I'm going to sweep Harlem broom clean. And by the way, can I say this to you? Years ago, when I first took the helm of this ministry, I used to have the men of this church that we had 100, 200, 300 men sleeping in the building at night. Well, one of the things I would have them do in the mornings, get up early in the mornings and take brooms and see that sidewalk, see that man walking down the street, sweep that sidewalk all the way down to 110th Street. From here, that's 13 blocks. And then sweep all the way up to 135th Street. And then sweep both sides of the street every morning. They would get out with a bunch of these heavy-duty brooms. I sent 30, 40 men out to sweep the streets. I did this for years. I'll say this to the gentrifiers and to all New Yorkers and all visitors to New York. The first year of my becoming the mayor of the city of New York, and at the conclusion or the beginning of the second year, Harlem will be broom clean. It will be swept broom clean. There'll be nobody sleeping on the streets. There'll be no litter on the streets. The streets themselves will be clean. It'll be a delightful, delectable place. You can actually eat off the streets. That's how broom clean I'm going to streets. But not only that, I'm going to, by the process of raising the minimum wage, then encouraging people to own businesses again in Harlem, encouraging people to buy homes, get equity, rent out that space, learn how to manage it. And the minimum wage itself, and by no food sales tax. Wherever you go to buy food, you will not pay tax. And to relieving all the bodegas of sales tax, the city of New York is going to have to take a hit in the pocket. I'm going to tell you this right now. Right now, the city budget is $114 billion per year. Well, y'all going to have to take a hit in the pocket. The city of New York, you're going to have to tighten your belt. When I become the mayor of the city of New York, you're going to have to tighten your belt. A lot of waste money. I see a lot of money that's wasted for things such as, plug-ins on the street for your phone and all kinds of other stuff about bus schedules and whatnot that really isn't necessary. We're going to cut back on some of those things. The city of New York needs to cut back. You're going to have to take a hit in your budget, the city of New York. And we're going to direct that money that's going to the city of New York to then go to all the people that are profiting, the manufacturers, the business, people got contracts with the city. Y'all going to have to take a cut. And we're going to infuse that money back into the community at the rate of $41 billion a year. Now, if you can imagine, think about this for just a second, and I'll outline this. I'll have our accountant outline this for you. Think about this for just a second. The entire budget of the city of New York for the police department, for the fire department, for all other departments, for the education department, 900,000 students, is $114 billion a year, per year. Is that right? That's how much it is. Imagine by redirecting, reinvigorating the people that are unproductive, that are not working, that are not paying taxes, getting back in the workforce, getting back on the tax rolls, getting back on the ownership rolls, getting back in the rental rolls, getting back into having money in the local neighborhood would reproduce $41 billion. That's nearly a third of the budget. And that will be money that will be coming into so-called marginalized neighborhoods, if you want to call them that. I'm not sure that's what I want to call them. It's it's just God's plan. It's just a plan that God has put forward. And it would make New York City, the streets of New York City, broom clean. There'll be no litter. There'll be no people on the street sleeping. There'll be no riffraff. And you know, when I was growing up in North Carolina, there was a man who had some psychological problems, and he lived with his family, and there were several women that lived in the house. They had a decent house, and one of the things I liked about them, that had outside in their yard, because they had a big yard in the house on their street next to the 9AM church, was they had a place where they grew grapes. Anyway, so this man was a little bit off. And so most of us, when we were young, would be afraid to go by the house because we know he's sitting on the porch. He'd come out and chase us and run after us. And sometimes he'd do that. Sometimes he'd come out, he'd chase you, he'd run after you. We'd all run and scatter. But they let him stay in the house. He was a little bit crazy, but they let him stay in the house. See, the blessing with me is that I grew up at a time when no matter what happened, every man and every woman and every boy and every girl had a bed to go to at night, no matter how impoverished the time. Even during the time of the Great Depression, every man, every woman, and every boy and every girl had a bed at night because the families took them in, even though some of them were a little bit crazy, some of them had problems, etc. But we all dealt with it. We all dealt with it. Nobody slept on the streets. We can bring that back. We've lost our way, and I'll tell you why we've lost our way, because our leaders are hypocrites. They are worse than hypocrites. They're satanic. And the rules of life, the rules of civic, if you will, family structure, they're all, if you will, hypocrites at the very best of them, are satanic at the very. There is all this business about blaming white folk for everything that ever goes wrong with black folk. The white man's ice. If you go buy a block of ice and the white man buys a block, and the white man sells the white man a block, and the white man sells the black man, the white man will sell the black man a block of ice that's not as cold as the white man's ice. I mean, that's all you hear out of the mouth of these so-called black college professors at Princeton and these Cornell West and these Eddie Gloyds and these George Van Jones and all of these news commentators, and everything is the white man's ice is colder. The white man you buy from the same place, but the white man gives you a lesser product. I mean, it is ridiculous how insane this has become over the last 60 years. And if you're too young to realize, when even during the time of Jim Crow, every man had a bed to sleep in. Every child had a bed to sleep in. Every child had a father in their home. None of this nonsense, this perversion that you hear on a daily basis coming out of the mouth of these hypocrites. And now they've gone even worse by wanting the men to become homosexual men, the women to become lesbian women. It's madness. To the gentrifiers, you probably thought you'd never hear this from me. but I'm going to increase the property of your property value. Gentrifiers, I'm going to increase your property values because I'm going to take all the riffraff out of the community, and not by using the police and cracking heads. I'm going to take it out by simply employing the biblical principles and showing the spirit of love and stopping the lying and stopping the profiting, stopping, if you will, the cottage industry that a lot of these pensioners, Negroes, they make all their money by blaming white folk and stirring up anger with black folk to be angry with white folk. And they've been intermediaries. That's how they make their millions of dollars. They do it in the movies. Even if they got making money on as athletes. I'm going to the gentrifiers. I am going to improve your property value by cleaning the streets and making the neighborhood safer, cleaner, and without using police or the fire department. That's right. That's what I'm going to do. I've done it for years. I used to sweep the streets of this community for years. And I used to clean up, wouldn't let people go out of the building that were unkempt, and I gave a man a bed to sleep in. So we need to be mindful of what's coming with me as the mayor of the city of New York. But I do plan to, and I'll close with this. The budget right now, the city of New York is $140 billion. I plan to make New York City a classic, upgraded city where poverty has been abolished, homelessness has been abolished. I do plan to say this. I do want to remind everyone that I'm going to keep the street vendors, but they're going to have to, clean up their act, polish up their act, get their act together. I will require street vendors to wear uniforms based on the logos of their business, whatever they're profiting, whatever they are selling. But there's enough room on 125th Street for the street vendors and the store owners. And listen, this is America, I'm a capitalist in that regard. And so let the best man win. I think the street vendors need to be able, I consider them small businesses. Now, they're going to have to wear uniforms. They're going to have to be fully responsible for the whitewashing of their sidewalk, for the cleaning, and for the presentation of their wares. And they can do that. That's not a problem. Most of them would be willing to do it. But I'm going to make Harlem in particular, the streets so clean. When I say to you, Harlem is going to be, the streets are going to be broom swept clean. You won't see anybody sleeping on the street. You won't see anybody vagabonding on the street. I'm going to make Harlem the entire community of Harlem broom swept clean. 135th, 145th, 116th, 110th, 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue, Lenox Avenue, Lexington Avenue, broom swept clean. I said this 34 years ago, that the streets would be so clean you could take off your shoes and walk barefoot. I'm going to show you a picture of myself and Elizabeth actually on the street out in front of the church walking barefoot 34 years ago. I was a much younger man. Elizabeth was a little bit younger too. But I said I was going to make the streets broom swept clean. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that as the mayor of the city of New York. And again, I'm going to bring $41 billion. Now, if you look at the economic commerce of Wall Street down in that region, I suppose that annually they go over the $1 trillion mark in terms of sales, of stocks, of trading, of businesses, of mergers, of banking. All of that they do probably beyond $1 billion. And New York just gets a small chunk of that, of $114 billion to run the city of New York. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to turn Harlem into a black Wall Street. Well, no, please. That's a phrase that came from back in the 1920s in Tulsa, Oklahoma. No, I'm going to turn Harlem into an outlaw Wall Street, to a righteous Wall Street, where, and Bed-Stuy too, and Fort Greene, and South Jamaica, and East New York, and all of those regions I'm going to turn into a profitable area where there'll be 41 billion, imagine this in South Jamaica, imagine this in Bed-Stuy, $41 billion now being poured into these neighborhoods. how it would change the clothing that the people wear, the cars that they drive, the houses that they live in, and it would upscale the city of New York in ways probably nobody ever dreamed of in terms of New York being an upscale city. We'll be the new Dubai of the Western world.
Atlas coming.